When Five Nights at Freddy's released in 2014, it was very unique for its time. It was also relatively simple to replicate, and this spawned many fan games based on the franchise. But if you clicked on this video, you probably already know all about this, so I won't bore you by going over the history of FNaF fan games or anything. There are multiple different types of FNaF fan games: story-driven games, gameplay-focused games, comedic games, whatever this is. But my favorite type is games that are supposed to be serious, or like presenting themselves as serious, but because of multiple factors, they are just really funny. You saw a lot of these games back in 2015 to 2017, and one of those games has been reintroduced to me recently. That game being Five Nights at Freddy's Left to Rust. Now real quick, I want to shout out Oscar McGuire. He made a video that's almost 3 hours long talking about the developer of Left to Rust, Psycho Clown, and his games. He talks about this game in that video, and it reminded me of the game, and that led me to download it, and that led me to wanting to talk about it. So major shout out to him. So what exactly is Left to Rust? Well, it is a FNaF fan game that was released in 2017, and it's supposed to serve as a sequel to Sister Location Custom Night. So it's basically supposed to be FNaF 6 before FNaF 6 came out. I wonder if it's a better finale. The description reads, "They left us here for 23 years, and we have been forgotten, no kids to entertain and no parties. We suffer in this reckless place of hell. This place is just an abandoned pizza place. And they left us behind, but we will come find him. We will never rest until we kill him. Father, I found it. It was where you said it would be. They did it. Noticed me at first, but they thought I was you. And I found her. It was all there, but something is wrong with me. But I have one more thing. I'm going to come find you." As you can tell, we are in for a treat. The first thing we see when we start the game is this title screen with Baby tweaking the fuck out. And this actually kind of eerie background music, which I won't play because I'm scared I'll get copyrighted. I don't know if it's copyright or not, I'm just not taking the risk. I actually like it. It sounds like a twisted clown theme type of thing, sets the vibe for the game well. The rest of the title screen though is weird. Like, why is Baby on the floor? When we start a new game, the player will be taken to the POV of Lolbit for some reason, and we see Baby getting scooped with Ennard in the background, even though Baby is a part of Ennard, so Ennard really shouldn't be here without Baby. Now, this opening does serve a purpose for the greater story. It might seem random at first, but it's not. Since it shows us the scooper, and the animatronic's main motivation in this game is wanting revenge for getting scooped, and they're gonna scoop William. So seeing the scooper's first thing helps to set this up, which is nice. You know, basic storytelling. I don't know why we're in Lolbit though, since they never reappear throughout the game, or how Ennard is formed yet, but whatever. My only criticism is that this goes on for a bit too long, and it's not skippable. Actually, none of the cutscenes are skippable, which is a major criticism of any game, but especially this one, for a cutscene we'll talk about later. Then we transition to the other opening scene, which really sets the tone for the game. We see that it is 34 years later, and then Michael's speech from Sister Location plays very slowed down and was static for some reason. Dude.
Why is there static?
The camera pans to see Springtrap, who is even more damaged than in FNaF 3, and is doing this. I'm not really sure what he's doing. So yeah, in this game, Michael is Springtrap. So for all you Mike Trap fans out there, this is for you. Alright, so you know how we just had 2 cutscenes that act as introductions for major plot points? And one of them was actually pretty decent. I don't really know what was going on with the other one. Well, now we just get text on screen that tells us what's happening instead of a cutscene.
Little story. Love to. This story is about this guy named William Afton, and his brother's name is Nick Afton. Okay, why is William's name not capitalized? They both went back to the old place called Freddy's Fazbear's Pizza. They went back to get some parts that they left behind and such. But they thought it would go well when they go there, but it has turned badly. Things started to get weird in that place. It was hunted, and the souls there still haunts the rusted suits, and they tried to run to the exit, then they were trapped. Then the lights went out, and they got separated from a animatronics that took Nick Afton, and William Afton ran for his life and found an old office that still remains working somehow, but now you have to survive. Good luck. That is a wholly run-on sentence.
It's a little weird. I don't understand why William's name isn't capitalized, or why both Williams and Nick names aren't entirely capitalized like everything else. I'm not like seriously criticizing this, I just think it's pretty funny, especially since the last 2 cutscenes were actual cutscenes. We then load into night 1, and we're in an office. Wow, what a surprise. There are 2 doors to our left and right, and a vent in the middle. There's also a Funtime Freddy plush in the FNaF 3 box for some reason. Right as we load in, we get my first problem with the game, the controls. I'm not really sure how to describe this, but in this game you don't just look left to right, you kind of have like a 3D view of the office. It's like this in Sister Location too. I don't like it here though, since it's just like very slow, and I don't think there's any way to speed it up. And in this game, you really need to go fast, and we'll talk about that later. So this will lead to a lot of deaths. There's also cameras, of course, but honestly, you don't need these past night 1. And you really only need them to see where Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica are, since they are active on this night. There's also power, and in my experience, it goes down really fast. But don't worry, because after night 1, it won't be an issue. Let's talk about like the look of the game real quick, since we can. It's fine, I guess. It just reminds me of FNaF 3 with how it's tinted green. And I think the vines are a nice touch, since this place is supposed to be abandoned. The animatronics look neat too, I think, although they do blend into the background of the cameras really easily, since everything is so rusted, almost like it was left to rust. Overall, I think the game looks okay. I would say the animatronics though, I don't understand why their fur is rusted. That's not how that works, but whatever. Now, the first thing I noticed as I loaded into night 1 is that this game is actually really hard. When I first played, I just died out of nowhere before even 1 AM. The phone call hadn't even finished yet. And this is of course a problem. I shouldn't be dying before I even know what I'm supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to do is close the door if you see Freddy, Bonnie, or Chica on the cameras. If you see them, close the door they're at. But since they move so fast, you might not be able to find them in time, leading to your death. The way I beat this night was by getting lucky and only getting a run where I got attacked once. The AI being so aggressive is a massive problem, so I thought I'd mention it. Unless it's supposed to be really aggressive, but even then it should be a natural progression of difficulty. I shouldn't be dying like in the first minute of the game. Imagine if in FNaF 1 during Ralph's phone call, when he's reading the company policy for Fazbear Entertainment, you just get killed by Bonnie out of nowhere without even knowing what you're doing. That would have been awful. The last thing to talk about for night 1 is that the phone guy is actually William Afton himself, who's also the protagonist, in case you guys can figure that out. And according to the FNaF Fangames wiki, which is hopefully a reliable source, these phone calls were recorded in 2005. I'd love to tell you what's said in this call, but it's so quiet I just can't make it out. All I got is that William has to send us pre-recorded messages and that he put his son Michael on the night shift. So I guess this universe, FNaF 1 happens in 2005. And I guess Sister Location happens in 2007 because the game's description says it's been 23 years since they've been able to entertain kids. Talking about the fun times, I'm guessing. And as we learn later in the game, Left to Rust takes place in 2030. And we know that the scooper scene at the start is 34 years earlier, so in 1996 is at least when Circus Baby's opened. And we also know later in the game that Freddy's was opened in 1987. Baby also mentions that it's been a long time since the Fazbear's Fright attraction burned down, so I'm assuming that probably still happens in 2023 since that's the most popular date for FNaF 3. So the timeline looks like this. After completing night 1, we get a cutscene of Michael, and he has a new speech. And this gives us some interesting Michael characterization. I guess here Michael is not a hero because he says that he will kill anyone who stands in his way, and he doesn't care who is in it. I don't know why he thinks he needs to go to such extremes, but whatever. I guess this fits with FNaF 3. I mean, in this universe, he just tries to kill a night guard for no reason. So Left to Rust is a villain versus villain story, which is actually one of my favorite types of stories, so I'm excited to see how the encounter between father and son will go. We then load into night 2, which takes place in the same office as the previous night. And thankfully, this night is way easier than night 1. Although I don't think it's supposed to be. On night 2, 3 animatronics are introduced. Rusted Foxy, Rusted Bonbon, and a Rusted Electrobab. Electrobab? I haven't heard that name in 9 years, dude. For Rusted Foxy, he has the mechanic Foxy always has. He has stages, and then he comes to the office. He probably runs, I don't know, the wiki doesn't say it. Probably close the door when he leaves the cove. Rusted Bonnie comes through the vents. And you'll never guess what you have to do when they show up. That's right, close the vent door. They also seem to have some voice lines, which I'm guessing happen every time they move. And Rusted Electrobab will randomly show up and drain your power. And I know that sounds bad. Like I said earlier, the power already drains fast. So throwing in a character that drains it must make the game borderline impossible, right? Well, actually no, thanks to a new mechanic introduced in this night. That being a power charger, as the game calls it. This mechanic makes the night so much easier because you don't actually have to do anything. You can just close all the doors and spam the power charger, even when Electrobab attacks. The power gained vastly overcompensates for the power lost. And you can even tap it fast enough to where you can get over 100% power. And at that point, the night is the easiest thing maybe ever. Now, I like this because it means I don't have to go through the actual night. But I know from a game design perspective, this is pretty bad, since it renders every other mechanic irrelevant and makes the game way too easy. After night 2, we get another cutscene, this time taking place in 1987. This cutscene depicts an argument between William and Nick. William also has a different voice actor from the phone calls for some reason. They're talking about how kids find the place creepy. William, of course, is on the side that's not creepy. And Babies is also open at the time of this cutscene.
The children come in this pizzeria. They can't. They're afraid of this place.
Kids are not scared of this place.
Yes, they are.
They love this place. It's a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike.
The real people die at.
Fuck off. I can go to my own place.
Get out of here,
Oh,
it's
so
mine.
baby's role if you need me.
After a certain point, William leaves, and we actually see William Afton's silhouette, and
Michael, is that you?
this cutscene was basically just made to show us a bit of Nick and William's relationship, I guess, and yeah.
Shut up.
Big Afton.
William Afton.
We then load into Night 3, and once again a new character is introduced. Two, actually. A rusted Ballora who will attack from the doors. She can't be seen on the cam, so you have to listen for her music. I never encountered her though because of my Night 2 strat. A strat that unfortunately doesn't work on this night anymore, and that's because of the other new character introduced. Rusted Bonnet, and a new mechanic that is introduced with her as well. That being a controlled shock. Basically what you have to do is once she shows up out of nowhere, you have to shock her and she'll go away. I'm not exactly sure where she comes from because I have all the doors closed, but whatever I guess. How does this make my strat not work? Well, it's because she can actually kill you almost immediately after appearing, making it so you don't have enough time to shock her because of how slow the camera is. Actually, it's not even the camera's fault, she just kills you so fast. And I'm not sure why this happens because she doesn't do this the first couple times she shows up. There you do have enough time, but this one time is when she kills you. I promise that I tried over and over again. And I think this night is just impossible. I mean, it's not even that I'm playing the game wrong. I mean, I am, but she will literally kill you in less than a second, so no other strat is going to work. And I thought I knew why this happened. According to the wiki, at 2 AM, you're actually supposed to be jump scared, but by Rusted Baby. I noticed that every time Bonnet killed me, it was 2 AM. So I thought what was going on was that the game was trying to activate the baby jump scare, but for some reason it would activate the Bonnet one instead. And since her jump scare doesn't have a code to activate the cutscene, you just get a game over instead. Except that's not true at all. I watched some gameplay of Night 3, and apparently there is no jump scare at 2 AM, so the wiki just lies here. You still have to go till 6 AM, and then baby shows up for a split second, and you transition into the cutscene. I don't know if you're supposed to get jump scared at 2 AM and the game glitches, and you have to play the full night anyway or what. But honestly, knowing this now makes the Bonnet situation even worse because I don't even have a reason for this happening. She just randomly kills me. I don't know, man. I didn't want to make this video about the gameplay anyway, I just want to talk about when he shoots you. I don't know how to beat Night 3. I don't know why it seems to be impossible for me, and my computer has no storage for some reason, so I can't re-download the game and replay it. This really sucks, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is where I gave up on the game. I mean, I tried to continue playing it, and I played nights 4 and 5 by messing with the files. I didn't beat them though, because my patience was wearing thin, and as I'll talk about later, those nights are also really hard. So yeah, I'd say this is probably a massive problem with the game. Let's just hope that Night 4 is better. But then, the unimaginable happened. My gameplay footage for Nights 4 and 5 got corrupted or something. I'm not exactly sure, it's just white, and I don't know why. It did pick up the audio though, so here's my proof that I played the nights.
I just feel like it's gonna pop up. Dude, what the is that?
So the rest of the gameplay will be taken from the channel XCreeper46, who is one of the only people to have played this game on YouTube past Night 1, so massive shout out to them, a link will be in the description. Before that though, let's talk about the Night 3 cutscene, which by the way is 10 minutes long. Basically what's going on here is that the animatronics have cornered William, and they're all just kind of hanging out. They basically just recap the ending of Sister Location, and Baby repeats herself a lot.
I knew it. It was you. It was you. You are you.
They say they want to record them scooping William, and then we get this really odd lore drop that William has a YouTube channel, I think. This is also where we get the confirmation of when the game takes place.
We are here to scoop you like we scooped us. Came here all right here to make a video of your channel. I didn't know you have that. That's what I'm guessing you have from this generation of 2030.
Oh, so in this universe, Baby's actually not William's daughter. In fact, William killed her parents and brother.
I miss my mom. I miss my dad. I miss my brother. The reason why they are missing because we killed them, William.
This is weird because William being the father of Baby was already common knowledge, so I'm not exactly sure why Psycho Clown did this, especially considering Michael still talks about going to put Elizabeth back together in this game. So I don't know why William would do this, or why Michael would even care if she wasn't in Afton. Baby also says that Mike is coming, which is why they won't kill him yet. Then for some reason she talks about Mangle did the bite of 87 and she was 9 when that happened. And then after that, William lured her in with a golden Freddy suit and killed her at Freddy's. And then she gave us some Circus Baby's Pizza World lore.
And lured us into the back room with the old suits that used to be at Circus Baby's World #1. But #2 was grand reopening of the #1 that broke down I don't know why, book now. I have no information on that.
Thank you, baby. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, but seriously though, how does she know all this? And not only that, but why is she telling William? I mean, I know the real reason is to tell all of us this, but it really isn't relevant to the story. I guess they're just trying to explain why baby would be in the back room. I guess she wants William to remember all the bad stuff he did, but I don't think you need to go into the details about the grand reopening of babies. Then we get William's motivations in this game, and it's basically just that he's a serial killer who likes killing. Okay, makes sense. And then we get a major bombshell. We learn that baby's name is...
My real name is actually Charlie.
That's right, Charlie. Is this supposed to be the same Charlie from the novels? Because remember, at this time FNaF 6 wasn't out yet, so she wasn't in the games yet. I think probably it's supposed to be the same. Although when she reveals the names of the other children possessing the animatronics, they aren't her friends from the novels, so maybe not. I'm choosing to believe this is supposed to be Charlie because it would explain why William wanted Michael to put her back together in particular, because they probably had a personal relationship, if Henry also exists here. Which would be weird though, because Nick already exists, but Charlie can't be Nick's daughter because Nick is still alive at the time of the game, but baby says that William killed her parents, which I don't know why he did that. She has a brother too, like Charlie did in the novels. I guess if you're gonna make anyone besides Elizabeth be baby, Charlie would be the only decent choice, since she and Elizabeth are supposed to be foils to each other. I wonder if in this universe, Sammy is the one who possesses the puppet, since we know William also killed Charlie's brother. Anyway, I'm putting way too much thought into this, let's just update our timeline. After this, baby tweaks out for no reason.
I can't. He won't die. He won't die. He's coming. He won't die.
She says it's because she's a robot, which sure, I guess. I don't know. And I won't explain the rest of the conversation because she basically just repeats herself. Except she says they're gonna blow up the pizzeria with meteorites. Then Michael shows up and cuts the power like he's Batman or something, and something happens, I'm not exactly sure. Then gets knocked out for 5 hours and wakes up. He's in a different place of the pizzeria with Mike, who's holding a knife. William says that he's sorry for the past, and Mike doesn't care at all, which yeah, makes sense. He's a child murderer. William has a phone, and that's what we end the cutscene on.
What's that in your back pocket? A telephone?
This cutscene might be my favorite thing ever besides the ending cutscene. Baby just repeats herself and exposition dumps to us, and then Mike makes the lights go out and takes William, I guess. Then William and Mike talk over each other, and then for some reason, William having a phone is what ends the cutscene. The game just loads into the next night, and we just don't know what happened. Now, obviously there are problems with this cutscene. There's no reason for it to go on for 10 minutes, and a lot of the info we were told could have been communicated in a different way, like with 8-bit minigames. You know, for a 10-minute cutscene, I really don't have much to say. Let's just move on to Night 4. Night 4 switches up the gameplay, having us in a different room. There are now 3 threats. Rusted Foxy, who appears on the cameras and you have to wind up a music box or he'll kill you. There's also Rusted Ennard. How Ennard was created between nights 3 and 4, I don't know. I guess they had 5 hours, so they could have made it work. What you have to do is flash a hallway with a flare when Ennard shows up, but you only have 30. But when the mini arenas, the final threat of the night, show up, they will take all your flares away down to 1. But don't worry, you can get more flares by clicking on this green box in the room. This night seems pretty easy, but I didn't beat it because of my horrible experience on night 3. Besides, if I wanted to actually replay this night, I'd play the actual game it's taken from. Because Night 4 is not a night originally made for Left to Rust. It's a reskin of another game called Don't Scare Me, I'm Scared, which from the looks of it seems to be a Minecraft FNaF fan game. If you guys want, I could check this game out, so make sure to let me know in the comments if you want to see that. And while you're down there, subscribe. I'm trying to hit 6K before the end of the year, and subscribing would help me out a lot. Anyway, Night 4 seems fine, I guess. I just didn't beat it because I didn't really understand what I was supposed to be doing, but it seems easier than Night 1, although Ennard does seem really aggressive. The final thing I want to say is that while there isn't a phone call on this night, Ennard does talk throughout the whole thing, which is cool. Oh, also, William did have phone calls on night 2 and 3. I just didn't mention them because I didn't know what to say about them. I couldn't understand them at all. There's actually no cutscene after completing night 4. The player will just go back to the title screen and night 5 will be unlocked. However, there does seem like there was going to be. There's a cutscene from the game that depicts William running. While running, he passes a room that has the animatronics in it, and it's revealed they've killed Nick. I'm not sure why this was unused. It explains what happens to Nick and acts as a transition into night 5. Well, I'm guessing it does. It's not confirmed this was supposed to be after night 4. I'm just assuming so because it's the only night that doesn't have a cutscene after it. Let's talk about night 5, the final night in the game. Here, William is once again in a different room. The mechanics of night 5 seem to be the most complicated in the entire game. From what I can tell, there is a music box to wind up. There is mini puppets that can show up in front of you, and to deal with them, you have to click on the buttons to the left of you. Animatronics can also attack from cam 3, and you have to seal a door when that happens. Rusted Golden Freddy can attack you from cam 6, and when he attacks you, you have to seal the right door. There's also power to worry about, and the game explains none of this to you, which is great. Also, this night is a reskin of another game. This time it's a game called Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese 2. This night is apparently really hard, and based on my limited playtime, I agree. The fact the game doesn't explain this night outside of one tip that shows up for like 1 second is crazy. The tip also doesn't explain it very well. It says it's like FNaF 3, like sealing events in a way, which is really funny, but doesn't really help with the night. After beating night 5, we get the best ending ever. The scene begins with William running, desperate to find an exit. When he turns the corner, Michael is there with a f***ing gun and shoots him. Then William says they will die together as father and son, and Michael deadass says f*** you and shoots him again. And then the credits show up, and then it's revealed that the pizzeria did blow up. You know what? I'll just play the cutscene for you. It's a masterpiece.
Exit. Gotta find it. Oh, no, is it? Wait, what the? Ah! That's what we get. Let's get it. Why would you do this for? Because you've done everything to me.
Sorry, son.
I'm not sorry.
Sorry for that.
You're not.
I didn't mean to divorce your mom.
She's dead because of
This
it.
time. Tough. Time is worth. Well, son, we will die as father and son.
Yeah, no, I die, mine. You die. I don't. I go to heaven.
I deserve it. I deserve every piece of it.
I'm gonna fucking sue it.
Do it.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck. I hate you.
I don't know where Michael got a gun. I don't know why there are gunshots in the background. And I don't know why the credits show this picture of a kid holding up the moon like it's a balloon, but I wouldn't have this ending any other way. So that was Left to Rust, the funniest FNaF fan game that was forgotten. Obviously this game isn't good. There are numerous problems. The gameplay is far too hard. There's hardly any direction. There's a 10-minute cutscene that could have been shortened down to like 2 minutes, maybe 4 max. Springtrap uses a gun, and more that I've talked about throughout this review. But this game has a certain kind of vibe to it. I'd say this game might be the best representation of what I think of when I think 2016 to 2017 FNaF fan games. Just a kid having fun making a game, and the graphics look like this. I don't know, this is just what I think of. The game might not be the best, but that doesn't really matter. It's not like I'm paying for it anyway, so I don't really care. And to its credit, there are good ideas here, with the story at least. I think the idea of Charlie being Circus Baby has the potential to be interesting if handled well. And the basic plot actually works pretty well. The game is about William's past catching up with him, his in Freddy's, the place where he caused so much suffering, and both his son, who he betrayed in some way, and his victims are catching up with him. Nick Afton is also there. I don't know what's up with him. I'm not really sure what the point of his character is. I mean, he could have just been cut and nothing would have changed. Throughout the game, William says he is sorry for what he's done, but that obviously isn't true, and even at the end he fails to accept responsibilities for his actions. And the pizzeria explodes, which I think is supposed to represent the complete destruction of William's legacy, and now the spirits that have been suffering for so many years can finally let go of their anger and rest. I can see what Psycho Clown was going for, and I think it is a pretty decent story. I think if the cutscenes were just a little bit tighter and some of the dialogue was better and Baby didn't repeat herself for 10 minutes, and also Michael didn't kill William in such an outlandish way, the story would be better told. I do think it has potential. As for the gameplay though, I don't have much to say. There are obvious things that could be improved, mainly Night 3 being impossible, but that seems to just be a me thing. The Night 2 strat is also pretty ridiculous. I would just not introduce Electrobab and the mechanic of recharging the power. I can't speak about Nights 4 and 5 because I didn't play them that much, but they do seem really hard. Night 5 in particular. And yeah, I don't have much more to say about the gameplay. Psycho Clown is working on a remake of the game called Left to Decay, and it looks interesting. I guess in this game you're going to play as Henry, and the main antagonist will be something called Mimic Trap, and it's also going to be free roam. I think it looks pretty good, and I'm excited for it to come out, and when it does, I might make a review on it. So overall, I cannot say I really recommend this game to anyone, but I do think it's a pretty fun time. Just watch for the cutscenes, they're the best part. I hope I didn't come across as too harsh in this video. I wasn't actually mad about this game or anything. It was just clearly made for fun, and it definitely did a better job at making fan games than I did. I just want to talk about this game because Springtrap shoots you, and I thought that was really funny. Let me know if
are very, very popular, especially on sites such as GameJolt. I mean, there's literally a whole category just dedicated to FNaF fan games. There's also sites like Steam that have FNaF fan games. Not many, and the quality of them is very debatable, but they are still there. So as I'm sure we can tell, fan games are usually played on the computer. But if you see my Left to Rust video, I don't actually have that much storage on my laptop. So I thought I'd try the next best thing, my phone. And that's what this video is going to be about, looking at mobile FNaF fan games. I've seen a couple of these videos before, but they're always on Google Play Store or something, not the actual App Store. Because they own a Samsung or whatever, but I'm cool and rich and own an iPhone. So I'm very curious to see if these fan games are up to par with the games on GameJolt. I'm just so excited we have to cut this intro short. So let's just go and play some mobile FNaF fan games. Alright, so the first game I want to talk about is Secret of the Mimic. Wait, they poured Secret of the Mimic to the App Store? Why haven't I seen anyone talk about this? Now, I love Secret of the Mimic. It's definitely one of my favorite FNaF games. Unless we're including nostalgia, then it's actually my least favorite and still will ruin the lore. Just ignore that Scott wrote the game. Either way, I'm interested to see how this mobile port fares compared to the original game. Oh, so this is why no one talked about it. Yeah, as you can tell, this is not Secret of the Mimic. It's just some game using its likeness. If I had to guess, it's a reskin of some other slop mobile horror game. It was just made so they could play a lot of ads. The first thing that happens when you load in the game is that you're hit with an ad, so that's probably it. I really hope this doesn't become a reoccurring theme throughout this video. The game can also crash a lot when you try to load it. It crashed the first couple times I tried to load in. If you manage to actually load the game, you'll be met with this ominous message. Every time I blink, the shadow in the corner gets closer. But when I open my eyes, it's gone. What does that even mean? Then you'll be hit with another ad, of course. There are two modes in this game. The Walking Dead, I guess, as mode 1, and some first-person shooter as mode 2. I picked mode 1 first because it's the first one and I really like The Walking Dead. When we load in the game, we play as Jackie with a fucking gun. That is 2 fan game videos in a row with animatronics using guns. Well, I'm not sure I'd describe this as a fan game since I doubt there was any passion put into this. You're basically in a room, and to escape you have to run around and find the letters O-P-E-N to open the door. Wait, was that intentional? None of them are hard to find. Then you leave and go upstairs where you'll be attacked by Chica. The enemies in this game kill you in one hit. And to be honest, guys, I didn't try again. I didn't really care for this mode. And it's not just because it's boring, but because of something else I've not yet mentioned. Randomly while playing, Lurk Echo Games will decide you've been playing for too long. So about, like 30 seconds. And they hit you with an ad break. No, I'm not kidding. You'll get a 3-second warning and then you'll have to watch an ad. I don't play too many mobile games, so I don't know if this is a common practice. Nor do I care because it sucks. This game is already boring enough, and now you want me to sit through an ad for half the time I'm playing the game? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that, dude. Anyway, that was mode 1. Despite the aspect of playing as Jackie using a gun, there really isn't much to talk about. Let's talk about mode 2. Hopefully it's more interesting. Mode 2 is different. Here you play as some guy who I'm assuming is Gregory based on the description, but the description is pretty obviously written by AI, probably the Mimic AI itself since the game says it's powered by the Mimic, so I won't put too much stock in this idea, but I'll pretend it's Gregory anyway. You play as Gregory in a first-person POV. While being hunted by Jackie. You have to grab a gun and shoot her, and that's it. I don't think there's anything else to do here except grab a gun, run around, and shoot her when she respawns. I mean, you can hide too, but it doesn't really do anything. And of course, there are still the ad breaks. And that was the Secret of the Mimic mobile port. Yeah, it kinda sucks. You can tell this game was just made to capitalize off Secret of the Mimic to make some money. I mean, they didn't even care enough to change the hint text. It just says, as tips here if you want. And the ad breaks are really, really annoying. And there wasn't even any secret lore, come on. So I probably would not play this game if I was you guys, although I doubt this game will be up for long. In case you guys don't know, back in 2015, there was a game on the App Store or something called Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and it was presenting itself as FNaF 4. Problem is, it wasn't FNaF 4. It was just some guy trying to ride off the hype of the game that hadn't come out yet. Much like this, except Secret of the Mimic is already out. Scott took the game down shortly after it came out. As of now, though, Secret of the Mimic is still up. Well, that game kind of blows. Let's hope our next game is better. Oh, no, it's not. Five Nights at Pixel Pizza 3D is the next game we are talking about. It's a bit more of a classic FNaF game, with the classic Sit and Survive format taking heavy inspiration from FNaF 1. There are 2 doors to the left and right. You have to close the door when the animatronics get near, but you can't have them closed forever. You have power, or energy, that goes down fairly slowly, so it shouldn't be a problem. But if you do run out, don't worry, you can get 10% more energy by watching an ad, of course. Something interesting is that at the start of the night, you have to equip the cameras yourself. I mean, they're in the same position each night, except you lose one every night, but it's a cool idea. There's also a flashlight, which doesn't really do anything. Oh, also the animatronics look like this. Yeah, this game also isn't very good. The gameplay is very basic, just clearly copying FNaF 1, but I do think the animatronic designs are really funny. I mean, look at them. Look at Bonnie walking in place. What is he doing, dude? I also don't like how the cameras just randomly go out sometimes. That's pretty annoying. I didn't play much of this game. When you die, you have to start all the way from night 1, and I didn't want to replay the 8-minute nights again, so yeah. Sorry to any huge Five Nights at Pixel 3D fans out there. This isn't the most in-depth review. Yeah, this game is pretty bad. There's no fear factor, and I mean, just look at it. I would definitely not recommend this game even if you can't afford to play FNaF 1. Alright, so the next game is called Five Nights at Scary Pizzeria 3D, and wait, something feels familiar. Yeah, this game is definitely similar to Pixel Nights, which makes sense since they come from the same developer. And actually, as I'm writing this script, I'm finding out Pixel Nights is apparently a sequel to this game. So I got the games out of order. I'm so sorry, I messed up the chronological order of Nights at Scary Pizzeria 3D series. So how does this game compare to its sequel? Well, I actually like it better. First of all, let's talk about the gameplay. It's pretty much the same, except you don't equip the cameras, which is fine, it didn't add anything to the second game. What I like more about this game is that the flashlight actually has a purpose. Throughout the night, the lights will randomly go out in your office and the cameras, and you can use the flashlights to see. I think that's a cool idea. The animatronics also look better, I guess. They are more Minecraft inspired, so they look less silly compared to the animatronics in the second game. The AI is still not very great though. It's not powered by the Mimic AI. Overall, this game is better than its sequel, but not by much. It's still not scary and the nights are still too long. Yeah, don't check this one out. Now let's talk about the other game from this developer here, that being Five Nights at Pizzeria Dead City 3D. This game is definitely the worst out of the trilogy. We once again have the Minecraft art style, so unfortunately the animatronics aren't funny to look at. The thing with this game is I'm not exactly sure how you win. Doors are wide open and there's nothing to close. I really don't know. I also don't know why there's power, or actually what is even going on. Why are we in the middle of the woods? I think you're supposed to do something with this box, but I couldn't figure it out. And the nights are, again, 8 minutes long. So when you die, you have to go back from night 1 again. So I didn't play this one too much, sorry guys. Alright, let's rank the Five Nights at Pizzeria trilogy. 3. Five Nights at Pizzeria Dead City 3D, or whatever it's called. This game is just not good. I don't know how you're supposed to survive, and the premise doesn't really make sense. This might be a worse ending to a trilogy than The Rise of Skywalker. I think we can all agree on that. Number 2, Five Nights at Scary Pizzeria 3D 2. Also known as 5 Pixel Nights at Pizzeria, or whatever it's called. This game is pretty boring. The idea of equipping the cameras could be cool if we could pick which ones we want to use, as they slowly get disabled through the game, but it doesn't do that. The light mechanic is also useless, but at least the animatronics are funny to look at. Number 1, Five Nights at Pizzeria Scary 3D. If you have to play one of these games for some reason, like someone has a gun to your head, I think it should be this one. Don't get me wrong, it's not good, but it's the best of the worst. I like how the flashlight is actually necessary, and the lights going out randomly is cool and something that should be done more. So overall, I would say the Scary Pizzeria 3D trilogy doesn't live up to the original FNaF games really at all. They aren't scary, and they aren't even that funny either. Please just spend $3 on FNaF 1. It must be better than this. I really wish I had more to say about these games, but I really got nothing, guys. These are such nothing games. I need a palate cleanser. Let's talk about... Alright, so I don't actually think this is a FNaF game, but I want to talk about it anyway because I do think it's pretty cool, from the limited amount of time I've played it. In Bear's Motel, you play as a new electrician named Jay Miller. Wait, Jay Miller? Holy shit, Joel? Miller's new job is at a motel that I think is called Bear Haven. We get a little slideshow that introduces the mechanics of fixing generator boxes and turning on and off the lights. We also get a message from an unknown person who says they can help us out if we go outside. This introduced the other mechanic to us, which is that we can turn around by swiping on the screen. We then go and fix an electric box, and eventually we run into a teddy bear that is haunted, I guess, and we have to go to another room and turn off the light to hide. And I'm guessing this is the basic gameplay loop, just going around fixing the electric boxes until a bear shows up and we have to hide. There's also cameras we can use in some of the rooms, and a phone that rings throughout the night that we have to answer so it stops ringing. Like I said, I'm not sure this really counts as a mobile FNaF fan game. I mean, I think it's probably inspired, but it's more so doing its own thing. I just want to talk about it because it seemed cool for the most part. I just talked about 3 Scary Nights at the Pizzeria 3D games in a row. Okay, I need something good. The only problem I have is that this game is riddled with ads, but that's par for the course here, so whatever. There's 2 other games in this series, but I haven't checked them out. Maybe if you guys want, I'll do an entire review of this series. Let me know in the comments. And actually, this is a pretty convenient place to do this. I have something to ask of you guys, and that is that you subscribe. I'm trying to hit 8,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and subscribing will be a massive help. But only if you enjoy the video, and if you want to unsubscribe at any time, you can. With that said, let's get back to these games. Let's see what's next. Oh, fuck. Oh boy, we are finally here. For 5 nights in the asylum, you play as a night guard in an asylum. Wow, who would have guessed? But this isn't any old asylum. This is a 5 nights asylum. There are animatronics that, according to the phone guy, broke down a few years ago, and now think that any person they see needs a surgery, which makes no sense. If they broke down years ago, why have they not done anything about them yet? Whatever. To defend yourself, you have 2 electric shocks that you can use to shock the animatronics when they come to your office, and a huge door in case things get out of hand. I know you're only supposed to use this as a last resort, because if you use it, the power drains really, really fast. It also closes when the power goes out. That's kind of weird. There's also cameras, but the cameras are broken, like really broken. I don't know how you're supposed to like use them. Every time I attempt night when they come up, sure, but once they go back down, I can't get them up again for some reason. I also can't put them down when they're up, they just randomly go down. The map UI is just in the middle of the screen. I tried tapping on it, but it didn't do anything. Anyway, that's the game, I guess. Oh, also the animatronics come in through the wall, by the way, so I don't think the electricity even works on them. You can only use the shocks so many times too. They drain 10% of your power every time you use them, which is just amazing. Overall, this game is really bad, from the graphics to the gameplay. I do like the phone guy though, and it's nice to have a phone guy finally. That's the one thing this game has over the 5 Scary Nights at the Pizzeria 3D trilogy. What an accomplishment. The game also does have a lonely atmosphere to it, which is nice and makes sense. Overall though, yeah, just never play this game, okay? The final thing I want to talk about that I think is really weird is that when you click on more games, it takes you to the developer's Apple Music page for some reason, and there's nothing here. Dude, what is this game? Wait, dude. Hey, that kind of rhymes with tube. Kind of like... FNaF Tube is the first app we'll be covering in this video that is not a game. Instead, it's supposed to be a social networking app for FNaF fans, and also apparently it got taken off the App Store during the production of this video. This was the app I was most interested in when testing all these apps out. I thought the concept was really interesting, and I wanted to see if there was an unknown group of the community hiding out here, and I really want to know if they believed Still Here Trap or not. When I loaded into the app, I got a load error, a server with the specified hostname could not be found. Oh no, that's not good. Yeah, this app is unfortunately broken. Nothing here works. I tried to use the discussion feature and set my profile picture to Rusted Bonnie from the greatest game ever made, but it didn't work, nor did changing my name to Zeto. You can still get an idea of what this app was though. The app had stuff like coloring pages, quizzes, and fan comics. They also had a page dedicated to streamers, which surprisingly does still work. If you swipe right at any time, there would be a pop-out menu with YouTubers. You know, you have all the big guys here, the classics: Markiplier, 8-Bit Gaming, Zetarox, Daco, Fusion Z Gamer, Game Theory, Andrew John 100.
Whoa, I killed him, Chica!
You can send feedback, and I did. Zetarox@gmail.com for sponsorships, by the way. Overall, the app actually seems like it would have been cool if it worked. I think I really would have liked this app as a kid. It's unfortunate what happened to it. I don't have a transition into the next apps, so let's just hop into them, I guess. Before we get into the final 5 games, I want to talk about some other apps, but I don't have enough to say about them individually, so I'll just all talk about them here. They're not games, just activity apps. Our first app is a wallpaper app mainly based on sister location, but there is FNaF 1, 2, 3, and 4 here as well. This app features multiple different wallpapers, which you could probably guess from the name, and I'm certain they are almost all stolen fan art. Something strange about this app is that some of the categories just don't work and will crash the app if you access them. One of them is the Funtime Freddy category, which is absolutely crazy to me. He is by far one of the most popular sister location animatronics, and he's definitely my favorite. Also, did anyone else really like that theory that he was the crying child back in the day? I believed that for a long time. I don't know why. I just like the idea. Like, I don't know. It was a weird time. Overall, this app is fine, I guess. Then we have a coloring book app. In this app, there are multiple different books with multiple different drawings that you can color in. Yep, that's how a coloring book works. It's fine, I guess, except the app will randomly just crash and it doesn't save your drawings, which sucks, so yeah. Next up is an app called FNaF Quiz. This is one of those BuzzFeed type quizzes that tries to guess which animatronic you are. It asks such glorious questions like, who do you think was behind the Bite of 87? Bear, Fox, Funtime, or BB? I don't know what to say, it's just kind of there. It asks questions and you get an ad every few questions, which isn't too bad. Anyway, the app said I was my favorite FNaF character, Funtime, and the final app is called FN Trivia. I'm guessing the FN stands for 5 Nights. I know, some elite detective skills. It's just a trivia game that asks questions, mostly about FNaF 1 and 2, at least with how far I got. I just know this was made in 2014 because it asked which character has 2 mouths, and the answer was Chica and not Nightmare, Fredbear, or Nightmare. Actually, wait, no, never mind. It asks a FNaF 4 question later. The final question I got asked was who killed Ralph, and I didn't know what to say. It's a 7-letter word, but none of the animatronics in FNaF 1 have 7 letters in their name. Turns out the answer was actually unknown, and I needed ChatGPT to help me figure that out. So in case you guys want to know how smart I am, there's your answer. I'm still not going to continue doing the trivia though, I just have no interest. The app is fine, I guess. Better than the other 3, and it's not riddled with ads. I mean, you can buy stuff in it, but whatever. So if you want to check out any of these 4 for some reason, I guess this would be your best choice. So overall, these apps were fun, but bare bones. Don't worry though, because we still have 5 games to talk about, and I saved some of the best and some of the worst apps for last. Alright, let's get the slop game out of the way first. In Security Parks Nights, you play as some security guard who you have to watch over an amusement park, but uh-oh, there's killer animatronics. This time they have the sun and moon from Security Breach. There's probably others too, but I didn't notice them. There are also trees that are alive for some reason. There are cameras you can use to keep track of the robotic threats, and a power mechanic as well. And looking through the cameras, this doesn't really look like an amusement park. I'm not really sure what this place is. There's a mushroom with a slide, the iconic living tree, and giant skulls all over the place. I also don't know any amusement parks that are square like this. The first thing that happens when you boot the game is the developer asking you to rate the game. Not really related to anything else I talked about so far, I just didn't know where else to fit it in, but I think it's really funny considering this game's quality. So you might have noticed one thing I missed when talking about the gameplay, and that is how you actually survive against the enemies. And well, I'd love to tell you, but unfortunately I can't because this game is broken. When you try to move at the start of the night, the security guard just looks up and you're just kind of stuck there now. And I thought gamers don't look up. If you try to tap on anything besides the camera button, like the doors, nothing happens, so you're just left wide open for an attack by an animatronic. You can survive night 1 just fine because for some reason the animatronics are never aggressive enough to get to your office on night 1 in these games, except for Nights of the Asylum, of course. Unfortunately, you know, that is 5 Nights of the Asylum. When you die, you start all the way from night 1 because it's something else these games love to do, and I don't really want to replay this game at all, so I'm not going to. In a way, this game feels like a successor to the 5 Nights at Scary Pizza 3D franchise, which is something you don't want to beat. So overall, I would recommend not playing this game. I mean, it literally soft locks you, probably on purpose. On the bright side, this was absolutely the worst game out of these 5, so it's only uphill from here. The first thing we hear when we load up Jumpscare Factory is this song. Does anyone else remember this? It's a classic for sure. Anyway, in this game, we have 2 options, Factory and Minigame. Let's talk about Factories first. Factory is where the namesake of the game is. Here you can make an original FNaF animatronic, customize pretty much everything about them, and use them in a jump scare. There are also daily logins you can get by logging in daily, pretty self-explanatory. It's okay, I guess, it reminds me of Flash games. This is my guy, I think we should call him Pumpkin Trap, because, you know, it's almost Halloween, he's orange. Is that okay? Actually, this reminds me of that prototype Springtrap for that Funko thing that was orange. Whatever happened to him? Does anyone remember that? Next up are the mini games. There are 3 to choose from. Shootout Showdown, Quest Mode, and Surprise Mode. Surprise Mode is just a thing where you can pick an innocent background and then give it to a friend, and when they click on the screen, they get jump scared. Wow, scary. I know, when my friends fell for the Pumpkin Trap's jump scare, they weren't too happy. Could Pumpkin Trap be the next horror icon? Anyway, yeah, this mode is fine, I don't know what else to say. Quest Mode is pretty much just matching the customizable animatronic to the pre-made one it gives you. It doesn't seem that hard, I only did it once. It reminds me of those mini games in Help Wanted 2, where you had to customize the staff bot and Roxy, and you had a time limit. I hated these mini games. I died a lot when I first played the game, and then Fusion C Gamers spoiled the ending the day the game came out, and I blame the staff bot for that. Overall, this mode is the definition of mid. It's not bad, but it's not exactly good either. It's just here and exists as a fun challenge. The time limit is pretty generous, although I cut it pretty close because I didn't really lock in that hard, but if I could beat this, then it's probably easy for an actual person who likes this type of stuff. The final mode is Shootout Showdown. In this mode, you have a gun. What's with it with FNaF Fangames and guns? And you have to shoot the animatronics that can appear in front of you or behind you. You have 5 bullets that can be reloaded at the bottom of the screen. There are hours, but I don't know if it's a survive until 6 AM thing or an endless thing. The animatronics do get more aggressive as the night goes on. Speaking of the animatronics, they are all just randomly generated animatronics from the factory mode. However, there are some secret characters you can get that do unique things. You can get Freddy sometimes, he is pretty much a basic character from what I can tell. You can get Foxy too, who runs towards you faster than the rest. An obvious reference to FNaF 1. And the coolest, in my opinion, is Purple Guy, who won't go away right after you shoot him. You have to shoot him 3 times, and when you shoot him, he will say, "You can't," in reference to the Save the minigame, which has William's first line of dialogue in the series. These references definitely elevate the mode for me, and is definitely my favorite of the game. I enjoy the gameplay loop even if it's simple. It's definitely more of a turn off your brain game that you just play to kill time, like on the bus or something, although you'll never catch me playing fucking Jump Scare Factory in public, sorry guys. I don't know, this mode is just fun. So now let's rank the 4 modes in Jump Scare Factory. Number 4, Surprise Mode. It's just boring. I just don't think Pumpkin Trap is scaring anyone anytime soon, unfortunately. Number 3, Factory. If you like making your own characters, you'll probably enjoy this. It's never been my thing though. Unless it's an online game like GTA, I've never been very interested in character design. Best thing about this mode is Pumpkin Trap. Number 2, Quest Mode. It's fine for what it is. It's a natural thing to put in a game like this. And again, if you enjoy character designs, this is for you. Number 1, Shootout Showdown. Easily the best mode in in the game. While the premise may be absurd, it has a relatively fun and engaging, if not simple, gameplay loop. And I like the little references thrown in. All in all, Jump Scare Factory is definitely more than I thought it would be. I thought it would just be Jump Scare Slop, but there's more to it than that. The minigames are appreciated, except Surprise Mode, that one is just kind of boring. It also has a banger soundtrack. It's not the best app ever, but for what it is, it's fine. Definitely better than Five Nights at the Asylum. You know what would be cool is if you can make a customizable animatronic Shrek, or maybe even like a red Shrek named Greg. I'm not sure if this counts as a FNaF fan game, but it has 5 nights in the name, so I'm talking about it anyway. In this game, you spend 5 nights at Shrek's hotel, or Grex, just a red Shrek with the fucking MLG sunglasses. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have never watched a Shrek movie before. It's just never been a series that seemed interesting to me. I never really got in with the memes either. I feel like that's important context in case there's some references in this game that I missed because I know nothing about the movies. Let's talk about the gameplay right now. The mechanics are walking around and sometimes interacting with stuff. Yeah, it's not very in-depth gameplay. Let's talk about the plot of this game because for the first time, there is one. This game actually starts with amazing dialogue. For some reason, you have left your house and have moved to a new city to live. You have a job, but you don't have enough money to buy a house yet, so you decide to spend 5 nights at Greg's hotel. So maybe you could afford the money you needed to buy a new house with your new job. I just love how the game doesn't bother to explain why we moved, we just did it for some reason. After this, we get an ad, of course. Yeah, every time you complete an objective or pause in this game, you get an ad. Annoying, but what are you gonna do, I guess? Now, there's something weird about the text in this game. For some reason, it's all just squares. I have no idea why this happens. You go up to talk to Greg and he says this.
Hello there, welcome to Shrek's hotel.
So I guess this is Shrek's hotel? Even though the first thing we see in-game is a sign saying Greg's hotel. Okay, whatever. Our protagonist, who I'm gonna name Zeto Sr., buys a room which is upstairs. And this is probably a good time to mention that every time you open a door, it makes this sound. I just thought that was something to call out. When we get to our room, we see a red gingerbread cookie with a trash bag, which I'm assuming is probably holding bodies, because that's kind of creepy. And spoilers, but let's just say there's a bit more to Shrek's hotel than meets the eye. You can go up to him and he has some dialogue. Before Senior goes to bed, he has to take a shit, so he does that and he goes to sleep. On night 2, Greg asks us to clean the bathroom because apparently we made a mess. So we take the broom away from the cookie, which starts crying, and clean the bathroom. After doing that, I went upstairs and found this guy looking at a picture of Shrek. When we walk up by it, he runs away for some reason. I try to go to bed, but Senior wanted to look at the painting instead. When we do that, he throws up on it or something, and we have the option to hide the painting or run away. I chose to hide it, and we have to hide it before Greg gets upstairs. When we hide it, the painting is still on the wall though. Greg and Senior have a conversation, and Senior then goes to bed. On night 3, we eat, and that's it. On night 4, when we go upstairs, Greg is there holding the painting. He tells us that it's a picture of his great-great-grandfather and that he is angry we did this, telling us he had enough of our games. To make up for it, we have to take boxes upstairs and put them in a storage closet that has numerous weapons in it. After we're done with the boxes, Greg tells us we can sleep. On night 5, things get a little scary. Senior wakes up in the middle of the night and the screen is all red. Yeah, I bet you're already terrified. We can open the door across the hall to find the person staying in the room has been stabbed to death. I don't know why this room only has a bed in the center of the room, but ignore it. When we exit the room, Greg stands at the end of the hall. When you get too close, he jump scares you, knocking you out. Senior wakes up in some unknown location and drinks some Greg juice, which Senior says makes him feel strong. We explore our environment and we find we are in some kind of prison, with other prisoners here as well. We're able to break the bars due to our strength from the juice. Eventually, we meet up with Greg, who has a fucking RPG. That's right, we've graduated from guns. He shoots it at us, but Senior is strong enough to grab it mid-air and throw it back at Greg, blowing up the prison, probably killing everybody inside. And then the game ends. If you're wondering what happens when you run away instead of hide the painting, Greg just kills you. So what do I think of the game? Well, it certainly exists. I don't know, there's not much to say. It's pretty boring, but it's only like 20 minutes. It's clearly more of a joke game, so it's kind of hard to review. I don't think it's very funny, but that's just me. Also, from what I can tell, this game is actually a game called Five Nights at Shrek 2, which you might know about because YouTubers like Fusion C Gamer played it and got 4 million views. Yes, 4 million views for Shrek's Hotel. Overall, I probably wouldn't recommend this game unless you want to play it. Yeah, I have nothing more to say. Let's just move on to our next game, which hopefully has more substance. That's right, it's another Secret of the Mimic mobile game. Is this one a more accurate port? Well, let's find out together. The loading screen of this game is Jackie in the FNaF 1 office, and before we even load into the game, we get an ad. We're already off to a spectacular start. The title screen is just Jackie outside, Something that's interesting is that in the settings you can actually make the AI more difficult. Upon loading into the game, you are told that you have to find letters to escape the room you are in, which seems to be a hotel lobby of some kind. You can find a baseball bat and a note telling you to get out of there, and that there are other notes that you can find that tell you a hidden story. After this, you will encounter two animatronics that spawn in, Foxy and Springtrap with no textures. I think this is supposed to be the original Glitch Trap model, which was just Springtrap. You take the bat and beat them up, and that's it. I couldn't find a way out of the room. I did find a med kit though. But don't worry guys, this Secret of the Mimic takes inspiration from the other Secret of the Mimic we played in this video. That's right, ad breaks randomly during gameplay are back. And it's worse than the other Secret of the Mimic too. The texture shows up for like a second and you're already loaded into the ad. I don't know how they managed to do it, but this is somehow worse than the Secret of the Mimic we played earlier in this video. At least in that one, there's more content and the Jackie campaign is at least doable. I just didn't do it because I'm not playing through all those ads, but still. I just couldn't find any way to continue playing this Secret of the Mimic. I just like could not find any of the letters. I also think this is worse because I've played the developer's other game, Alien Invasion Escape, and while it's not a masterpiece, it's just the same level each time with a tighter time limit, it's definitely better than this. And there's no ads either. So overall, I would say don't play either of the Secret of the Mimics. And now guys, it's time. We are at the final game. And you know what they say, save the best for last. The game I'm talking about is so much better than everything here that's not even funny. And what is that game? Alright, please hear me out. 5 Tries at Love is a FNaF dating sim, and this is real. I've never played a dating sim in my life, and I wasn't planning to play this one, but there weren't a lot of games, so I thought I'd throw it in. In this game, you play as a new night guard at Freddy's, I'm guessing, and your job is to sweep the floors. While sweeping the floors, you can find money that can be used when talking to Balloon Boy, or I'm sorry, Gift Boy. Your main goal of the game, though, is to seduce one of the various animatronics. There are 4 game modes, but they're all just reskins of the game, based on FNaF 1, 2, and 3, and this weird clown version that you unlock by buying this thing in the gift shop. In the FNaF 1 mode, you talk to such iconic characters like Teddy, Roxy, and Spring. I'm not sure why it's just these 3, especially since FNaF 1, Bonnie and Chica are in this game just in the FNaF 2 mode, or I'm sorry, Bunny and Chick. There's also Chomper in the FNaF 2 mode, who is just Mangle. I guess she's called Chomper because for like 10 years almost everyone thought Mangle did the bite of 87, but our glorious goat the week before strongly implies Foxy did it, so unfortunately this game is outdated and I have to give it a 0 out of 10. I'm so sorry. If you're wondering, in the FNaF 3 mode, there is Phantom Teddy, Shadow, and Mime. Not the puppet. Not Puppet or something, Mime. The basic gameplay loop has you sweeping the floors, although this depletes 30% of your energy. When sweeping, you get cash so you can buy things from Gift Boy. You can buy energy, a gift, money, which seems to be a bit counterintuitive, the secret 4th mode I talked about earlier, and this thing for $300, which makes Gift Boy fall in love with you, I think. When he shows up, you have to say you want to buy something or he'll kill you. If you don't want to buy stuff though, you can just leave the room by clicking on the camera panel, which is a nice touch. I like the camera panel. Speaking of rooms, let's talk about the look of the game here. They're fine, I guess. They're not very memorable to me besides Pirate Cove and The Office.
I do think overall the game has a nice art style, but these rooms, they just aren't very memorable to me.
In these rooms, you can find one of the 3 animatronics you can hook up with. To get with them, you have to get the heart above their text box to 100%. You can do this by talking to them or giving them a gift. You can only talk to them so many times before the game doesn't let you anymore. I mean, you could if you want to watch an ad, but I don't want to, so I didn't. When you talk to them, the percentage goes up by 5% and you lose 10% of your energy. You can give them a gift, and if they like it, their percentage goes up by 10%, but if they don't, it goes down by 10%. You lose 10% of your energy either way. As you get to know them better, they will start to ask you questions when you run into them. If you get them right, they'll like you more, but if you get them wrong, they'll like you less. From what I can tell, there's no actual way to know what the right answer is, so you just have to blindly guess, which isn't very fun. If you don't fall in love with an animatronic before the end of night 5, you'll get a paycheck calling you the loneliest employee of the month. And that's basically the gameplay. I was only able to get with Shadow Bonnie in the FNaF 3 mode, and then this happened. I'm still not exactly sure what this means. You see, this game is strange because it's actually kind of good. Like, it's not the most in-depth game ever made or anything, and I don't know how it compares to other dating sims, but overall it's somewhat enjoyable, and the game actually works, which is more than I can say for a lot of other games in this video. This isn't something that I'd ever pick up and play, but for the most part, I don't know, I just had fun with it. It's not taking itself too seriously, it knows what it is, it's the FNaF dating sim, alright? And it feels like a FNaF game with the resource management, and there's even some horror moments. or, well, attempts at horror moments. I'll never play this game again, but that's okay because I'm never going to play any of these games again except for Five Nights at Freddy's. As any FNaF fan knows, the original 4 FNaF games came out in a little under a year, which was great for YouTubers since they were able to make content about the games in quick succession. And because there is so much stuff coming out, it led to many channels that weren't getting attention before to skyrocket in popularity. But there was still a wait between releases, which begged the question, what content should YouTubers who primarily made FNaF videos make? Some decided to make theory videos, or maybe some fun facts about the animatronics, but some of the videos that did super well were videos playing Five Nights at Freddy's fan games. There were a lot of fan games from this era of the FNaF franchise that are still popular today, mainly Five Nights at Candy's, Five Nights at Treasure Island, and The Return to Freddy's, although that one is not popular for the same reason as the other two. But there are many games from this era that have been forgotten over the years, even though they were very popular at the time. And one of these games is what we're talking about today. Five Golden Nights at Freddy's is a name that you might be familiar with. It is a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game made by a developer that goes by Kuno Leo. This game was pretty popular when it came out. YouTubers like Fusion Z Gamer and Dako played it, with Fusion's video getting nearly 2 million views. So yeah, it was popular at that time, but it's been 10 years since the first game came out, and I was thinking about it recently, and thought it would be nice to go back and check it out. And then I realized there isn't just one Five Golden Nights at Freddy's game. So then I thought, you know what would be cool? If I made a video talking about Five Golden Nights at Freddy's. So then, I started making the video. And let me tell you guys, this fan game is definitely much bigger than I thought it was going into this video, with 4 games, one of which is hidden from the public. I mean, not very well, but there was an attempt. At a stage of the series where the developer threatened to delete all the games, there's a lot more to talk about than just a FNaF fan game that doesn't have cameras. So let's not waste any more time and start talking about Five Golden Nights at Freddy's. Alright, before we get into this section, I want to shout out the channels FNaF Fan 55, ETH Goes Boom, Fusion Z Gamer, and however you say this name, because all the gameplay footage in this section is taken from their channels. I did play the game, and I recorded it, but the footage ended up looking like this. Dude, what? Five Golden Nights at Freddy's was released on March 23rd, 2015, so 20 days after FNaF 3 came out, and apparently the whole game was made in 10 days. The game's description reads, "The Freddy Fazbear franchise has a new owner. The owner wanted to recreate the good old days when it was only Springtrap and Freddy. He placed a huge map on the wall that detects everything that's going on in the building instead of cameras because they cost too much power or something. This game takes place in Golden Freddy's." Yeah, that's the name of the place. I'm going to cover the game on a night-by-night basis since the gameplay is kind of weird for one of the animatronics. On night 1, nothing happens, so I guess we'll just use this time to talk about the look of the office. It's the only location we'll be seeing throughout the game, so that's important. The office is just a gray room. To our right are the newspapers from FNaF 3, which does mean this game takes place after it. There are also kid drawings on the wall in front of us, and to our left, a poster that says "Stay calm and play FNaF." So I guess FNaF is an actual game series in this universe. How did Kuno predict the plot of Hell 1 4 years before it came out? That's crazy. There is something else in our office as well. In front of us is a giant monitor which displays the entire building we are in. This is how we see where the animatronics are in the building. That's right, in this game there are no cameras, a fact Kuno really wanted you to know. I mean, it's mentioned in almost all the patch notes and even on the banner of the game. This mechanic is what sets it apart from other FNaF games at the time. Today, we have plenty of fan games without cameras, but at this time, it was unique for sure. And does work with the overall gameplay. I think it would have been a lot worse if we had to check the cameras, actually. The only criticism I have of this is it gets a little boring just seeing the office for the full game, but luckily, you don't have to see it for very long because the nights in this game are only like 4 minutes, with night 1 being 2.5 minutes. Anyway, nothing really happens on this night. I mean, we get a phone call, but I'll talk about the phone calls later. However, near the end of the night, a white dot will appear on the monitor, which shows the player what an animatronic on the map looks like before night 2, where actual threats are introduced. As the dot gets closer, we hear My Grandfather's Clock from FNaF 2. The night ends before they can get into our office. In case you couldn't already tell, this is the puppet. And this is confirmed later in the game when the puppet becomes an actual threat, for like 3 nights, but still. Overall, night 1 is a fine introduction to the mechanics of the game, although there is one thing I wanted to talk about. I said earlier that there are no threats on this night besides the puppet showing up at 5 a.m, but this isn't actually true. There is a character on this night, but it's an Easter egg. Apparently, Bonnie can show up on night 1 if you skip the phone call and put up and down the mask a lot. He will kill you if you don't put on the mask when he walks through the office. You can actually see Bonnie later in the game in a minigame, but we'll talk about that later. He's an interesting addition to the game. I don't really know what else to say. Night 2 is where things get real. 2 new animatronics are introduced tonight, those being Springtrap and Phantom Freddy. Although Phantom Freddy is actually supposed to be Golden Freddy, you can monitor the 2 of them on the map. They can explore the entire building, but will only come in through one side of the office. For Springtrap, that is the left, and Freddy, it's the right. You deal with them both in the same way, which is when they come by your office, you have to put on the Freddy head for FNaF 2 to make sure they don't attack you. Springtrap will run throughout the place very quickly before coming to your office. When he does this, he will either stop and peek out from the wall, or he'll just run through. If he runs through, you don't actually have to put on the mask, which is cool. On later nights though, he will stop in the middle of your office before running out. Freddy, on the other hand, is really slow. He just walks to the building, meaning you have to keep the Freddy head on longer when dealing with him. For night 2, it's fun, but on later nights, this causes a lot of panic when you have other things to deal with in the office. The puppet also makes a return this night. He will randomly show up on the posters on the wall to your right. And when he does this, you have to put on the Freddy head. So every animatronic this night can be dealt with by using the Freddy head. You can just use the Freddy head all night, I guess. As you may have noticed, all these characters and every other character in this game are just reused assets from FNaF 1, 2, and 3. This was pretty par for the course back in 2015, so it's fine. And I actually think they fit in with the art style of the game very well. This could also be because this game was originally not a FNaF fan game. This game was originally going to be a sequel to another game called 3 of Them, and Kuno used FNaF characters as placeholders while coding. But Kuno liked the assets, so they decided to keep them in, and make a FNaF fan game instead. And I have to agree with Kuno here. I think the assets fit the game very well. I'd say the game almost feels like an official game in the series. After completing night 2, we get a mini game. Basically, we leave our office and get attacked by Springtrap. We're okay though, since we're still able to work on night 3. Night 3 introduces a new animatronic to the gameplay loop, that being Phantom Balloon Boy. He is our first character that has a unique mechanic, that being that we will have to click on him when he appears to make him go away, or else he will jump scare us. Or apparently we punch him. This definitely helps with the gameplay, since it means we can't have the mask on the entire night. From what I can tell, he is pretty forgiving with the amount of time you have to deal with him. When he shows up at the same time as Freddy, it's definitely a bit nerve-wracking, since you know you have to click on BB, but Freddy's taking his sweet time walking through the office, and BB laughs as he gets closer to jump scaring you, which adds to the stress. You should be fine though, you definitely have enough time. I definitely think BB's mechanic is pretty good, but I hope that almost every other character in this game doesn't copy it. Puppet also returns on this night, but for some reason his mechanic has changed. You can't use the mask to deal with him anymore, instead you have to click on him like BB. I'm not sure why this was done, to be honest. He also doesn't make a sound cue when he shows up like BB, so you have to use the monitor to see whether or not he is in your office. This is also his mechanic for the rest of the game, although something that's really weird about him is that he actually doesn't appear on nights 4 or 5, but then comes back for night 6. Why does he do that? The puppet is definitely the strangest character in this game. On night 4, another new character is introduced, Mangle. You also deal with Mangle by clicking on her, much like BB, but there's a bit more to him. You see, when she appears, the monitor will go out. He also won't kill you, just turn off the trackers, making it impossible to know where Springtrap and Freddy are. This definitely makes Mangle different enough from Balloon Boy. When she appears, she also makes the static noise from FNaF 2, which gets really annoying really fast. Overall, Mangle is a fine addition to the gameplay loop. She does appear at the same time as Balloon Boy a lot. I recommend focusing on Balloon Boy first when this happens, since he can actually kill you. Other than Mangle though, there really isn't anything else to talk about regarding night 4. After beating night 4, we get another mini game. What we have to do is go to the right and interact with the cake we find. Bonnie is also here. I'm not really sure where we are. It's like we just walk to the void or something. I don't think this is supposed to be another room because it doesn't show up on the map. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that only nights 2 and 4 have mini games, but I don't really care that much. On night 5, another new character is introduced, that being Chica. She can appear on your laptop screen for some reason. You have to deal with her by clicking on it. She also makes the sound that the Wither animatronics make when they're in your office in FNaF 2. She only appears like once on night 5, and I don't think she appeared at all in night 6, so she's a pretty pointless character. The game also doesn't tell you how to deal with her, which can get you killed. But I managed to figure it out after dying once. The game definitely should have hinted at how you deal with her though. It's actually weird. I mean, there is one line on night 4 that hints towards her mechanic, but that's not even on the night she shows up. The only other thing I have to say is that on this night, things really do ramp up in difficulty. Not with Springtrap and Freddy. I think they're at the same level of aggressiveness throughout the whole game, but with BB and Mangle. There are some times where you will have to deal with BB and Mangle, and they will reappear right after you handled them. I mean, the game still isn't very hard, but it's something worth noting. When you beat night 5, you actually get the bad ending. So how do you get the good ending? Well, first shout out to the channel Salvage. They made a video going over how you get all the endings in this game, which was a major help. Basically, on night 5, you have to click the Keep Calm and Play FNaF poster a few times. When you do this, a Golden Freddy plush will spawn on your desk, indicating that you have unlocked the good ending. Which means, yes, the Keep Calm and Play FNaF poster is important to this game. The good ending shows us a newspaper which says that the pizzeria has straight up disappeared into thin air. And experts say it might be something paranormal. What's crazy is that I'm pretty sure this is canon, since after you get the good ending, you get night 6, which gives us the real ending. Which means canonically, the Golden Freddy's pizzeria disappeared. We'll talk more about this later. Night 6 is harder than night 5. This time there's the puppet and a new character, Foxy. The way Foxy works is that during the night, you will hear his song from FNaF 1. When you hear it, you must click on the Foxy plush on the desk a couple times. When you do this, he'll stop. If you don't do this, he'll kill you. I think Foxy might be the worst character in this game, not because of the mechanic itself necessarily, but because it is never explained to you in the game. I'm not even sure how I figured it out. I've seen a lot of people say Night 6 is hard, but in my opinion it really isn't. It is obviously nerve-wracking when the Puppet, Mangle, and BB all appear at the same time, especially since I'm pretty sure the amount of clicks it takes for them to go away is randomized, but for the most part you have plenty of time to deal with them before Springtrap or Freddy show up. Not a lot, but enough to where you will survive. I only died like once on night 6, and it was because I didn't know how to handle Foxy. When you beat night 6, you get the real ending, which shows us a crying child in a void. I'm not really sure what this means, but we'll talk about it later. And while we're at it, let's just talk about all the endings in this game. There are 6 endings. The worst ending is gotten any time that you die, so basically it's just a game over screen. I guess it's technically true, dying is the worst ending for the guard. I already talked about how to get the bad and good ending, and the real ending is gotten from beating night 6. There are 2 other endings though, the better ending and the best ending. The way you get the better ending is by waiting 2 minutes on the night 2 minigame. When you do this, Springtrap will stop running around and go dormant on the left side of the pizzeria. Something interesting that's in this minigame is that you can find hints on how to get 2 other endings in the game. There's a message with the head of Freddy that says X2, which is a hint to click on the poster of him in night 5, and the same thing for Bonnie, which is a hint for the real ending. The guard can now leave the pizzeria, which grants us the better ending. Basically, the guard just says he quits and drives away. The ending is cool, I guess. It's just, a fun extra thing. The best ending can be achieved by clicking twice on Freddy's nose on the title screen. When you do this, the player will be brought to a hidden night 0. Here, the phone guy will talk about how he bought the Freddy's franchise and how the location we are in is actually Fredbear's itself. The phone call is on a loop and the hours never progress, so the only way to continue is to skip the phone call. When you do this, the phone guy will be quite sad we tried to skip him.
Oh man, you thought you could skip me? You're a dream, son. Whatever you do, you have to press that button on the screen, that little green button over there. Just press it now because, yeah.
An epilepsy warning, skip to the time on screen if you have epilepsy. When we click on the green light on the laptop, this happens. Eventually we get jump scared by BB and taken to the ending screen, where the phone guy talks to us before we randomly get jump scared by BB once more, which is probably the only time this game actually made me jump. It really came out of nowhere. And those were all the endings. I don't know what to say about them. They're fun, I guess. I don't really have a favorite, but I guess if I had to pick one, it would be the real ending. Now let's talk about the lore, because it's pretty interesting, as I'm sure you figured out by now. So this game is a sequel to FNaF 3, and the phone guy is the new owner of Fazbear Entertainment. And he wants to go back to the old days of Fredbear's when there were only 2 animatronics, which were Golden Freddy and Springtrap. So yeah, in universe, the character Spring Bonnie is actually called Springtrap, which is interesting. So he bought some stuff online from eBay, Craigslist, and he must have bought stuff from the auction at the end of FNaF 3 as well, since he has Springtrap. He also somehow got his hands on the original Golden Freddy animatronic. And we know it's the original one, since phone guy heavily implies it.
They look pretty old, don't they? It's like, they look like they're the originals, yeah. That's so weird.
However, it should be noted he only bought Golden Freddy and Springtrap. He did not buy the puppet, BB, Mangle, Foxy, or Chica. The game makes this very, very clear. The building we are in is also Fredbear's itself. I'm pretty sure that the phone guy dies on night 5. And canonically, the building disappears after completing night 5. And the guard must have disappeared with it, since we know night 6 actually happens. I mean, it's not called the real ending for no reason. So that's pretty much the basic plot of this game, but there are a lot of questions. Like, what's up with the real ending? But first, let's talk about another mystery. What is the night 4 minigame about? What does the cake mean? Why do we collect it? I have no idea. Okay, let's talk about the real ending now. Who is this crying child? We never hear anything about kids going missing throughout the game, and why is it just one of them? Well, I'm not sure, but I have two theories, technically three, but I'll talk about the first two first. I don't think this is actually a crying child. I don't think it's a child at all. My first theory is that this is the phone guy. I mean, we know that he died, so it's possible that this is his spirit. And my other theory is that the spirit is us. I mean, remember, when the pizzeria disappeared, so did the guard. So maybe he died when that happened, and this represents that, and now he's stuck here forever, I guess? It could also be the spirit that possesses the puppet, since he's built up throughout the entire game, so that would make sense. I also wonder if he's the one who made the pizzeria disappeared, I'm not sure. And yeah, that's pretty much all the lore from Golden Knights 1. There really isn't much to talk about, and it's hard to make sense of it all. As of writing this section, I've not beaten 2 or 3 yet, so I don't know if the story of this game will be explored later on. I'm making this voiceover after I finish both of them, and I can say, yeah, it wasn't. I can forgive the lore being pretty bare bones since the game was made in 10 days and wasn't even supposed to be a FNaF game at first, so I'll let it slide. Also, all of this is just my interpretation of this story. I could definitely be wrong, I probably am. Something else I should mention is the phone guy. I've seen a lot of people say the phone guy in this game is difficult to understand, but I'm not sure why. To me, it's very easy to understand what he's saying. I do think the phone calls could have been a little louder, sure, but it's not that bad. Some people also don't like the performance of phone guy, but I like it. I really like how he sounds high the entire time. I think it's pretty funny. Actually, here are some of my favorite phone guy moments.
The kids seem to like him sometimes when they're not in the way. Anyway, welcome to the first day on your job here at Golden Freddy's. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Earlier today, people from the office said that they heard giggles. I was all like, giggles? What? Don't they thought a child gone missing or something? And I was like, nah man, that's not good. But we didn't find a child. So, I think it's all good now.
Overall, yeah, I have no problem with the phone guy in this game, but a lot of people do, so I figured I'd mention it. And I'm pretty sure that was all 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's has to offer. Overall, I think the game is actually pretty good. I think the gameplay loop is fun, even if most of the characters' mechanics boil down to clicking on them. And while it can get boring just looking at the office the entire game, it's not that big of a deal. The huge monitor in the center of the screen definitely is unique and makes up for there being no cameras. And also, looking at the location of the mini games, I don't think the cameras would have been very interesting to look at. What you guys gotta realize is how unique this game was for having no cameras. If it did, I don't think it would have been nearly as popular. I also like the art style. It is by far one of the best fan games that has mainly reused assets from FNaF 1, 2, and 3. And the Stay Calm and Play FNaF poster, of course. They fit in with the art style very well. It's actually surprising to me that a game this good was only made in 10 days. It's also not very long either, only 35 minutes if you do everything. I don't know, I think this game feels like an original FNaF game in a way. I mean, sure, I have my issues with the way some of the animatronics mechanics were introduced, and I think the puppet is pretty weird with how he shows up nights 1, 2, and 3 and then fucks off for nights 4 and 5 and is back for 6, and I wish there was a custom night as well, and it would even work with the idea that the guard is trapped there since, the building disappeared. Oh yeah, speaking of the story and lore is the part of this game that I have issues with. It's just not fleshed out at all, and for some people that's not a problem, which is fair, but personally I've always preferred games with an overarching narrative. I mean, the game is still good overall, but it is disappointing to me. Overall, I think the game is a fun way to spend half an hour, and I recommend you check it out. I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. When the game came out, it was pretty well received, and was decently popular on YouTube, so the only logical thing to do was to make a sequel, and that's exactly what Kuno did. 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's 2 released April 7th, 2015, very soon after the first game. The Game Jolt page calls this game the hardest FNaF game, but is this true? Well, let's find out. But before we do that, I just want to quickly ask you guys to subscribe. I'm trying to hit 9,500 subscribers before the end of the year, and subscribing would help me out a lot. And if you've made it this far, you're either enjoying the video or hate watching. Either way, you should sub. With that said, let's get back into this retrospective, because things only get crazier from here. 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's 2 takes place in an all-new Golden Freddy's pizzeria. as we learned from the newspaper at the start of the game. Which, by the way, after you read this newspaper, the game will crash. It does this every time, at least for me. To get around this, you just have to click load game instead of new game. When we load into night 1, we might at first think our office layout is similar to that of the first game. And it is, but it's also different. There's new pictures on the wall of Fredbear, Springtrap, and the puppet. I'm guessing these come from the first game's location because I'm fairly confident this game takes place after the first one, but I'll talk more about that later. To our right is a calendar showing us the game takes place in June, which is interesting considering that there are Christmas lights right above it. I've heard of Christmas in July, but not Christmas in June. What might be more noticeable than all of this is the center of the screen. There is a monitor like the first game, but it's shrouded in darkness. That's because of a new mechanic introduced in this game, that being power. You have to hold down the A key to use a flashlight, which are actually more like spotlights, but whatever. You have 100% power, and when you hold it down it decreases, but when the light is off the power is gained back. So you can't actually run out of power, so it's no big deal. I don't like this mechanic. I think it's pretty much pointless. There's already a lot of stuff you'll have to deal with later in the game that having to juggle power and being able to actually see where everyone is just a bit too much. With our monitor lit up, we see that this location is not only bigger than the previous game, but there are many more animatronics as well. For this game, I'll talk about the phone calls each night, since this game is definitely more story driven than the previous one. On this night, he just tells us how to survive, and that's it. He says that if any of the animatronics come through our office, we must put on the Bonnie mask, as opposed to the usual Freddy mask. I think the idea of the Bonnie mask is cool, definitely makes the game stand out, and Bonnie is oddly important to this game's story, so it works out well from a story perspective. There are also vents, which you may have already noticed. If any animatronics come through the vents, we have to seal them by pressing on the squares. A red square means the vent is closed, and green means it's open. You can only have one vent closed at a time. If they get through, they will kill you regardless of if you have the mask on or not. And the phone guy tells us this himself.
Some of the animatronics tends to go inside the vents and try to murder you from behind. And that's not a good thing. Not at all.
Yeah, that isn't a very good thing. It's rare to have a phone guy that is so open with the fact that we're in danger, so I thought I'd mention it. The line is also pretty funny. The phone guy also says that if anything unusual pops up, to punch it in the face again, which means that once again we'll have to punch someone in this game. I find the use of the word again to be interesting, but we'll talk more about that later. On this night, 4 animatronics are active. Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and JJ. Toy Freddy is a basic wander type of character. He will enter your office, coming in through the left at first, and eventually he'll come back through the right. Just put on your Bonnie mask to deal with him. However, I'd like to note here that there is no grace period between the animatronics entering your office and you having to put down the mask. Unlike the first game where you had a couple seconds of leeway, here you have less than a second, or at least close to that. And that goes for every masked character. So you have to monitor the character's movements very, very carefully, which is quite difficult when you have to manage a power mechanic as well, but again, I'll talk more about that later. I think there being no leeway kind of sucks, especially later in the game where there are multiple threats coming in your office at once. It makes it hard to deal with other things. For Toy Chica, she'll simply go through the vents to your left. Close the vent to deal with her. Also, you can close the vent when you have the Bonnie mask on, which is appreciated. Toy Bonnie is a combination of both Toy Freddy and Toy Chica. He will go through your right vent, and obviously you have to seal it when that happens. Now, I know what you might be thinking. With 2 characters that go through the vents, what happens if they both go through it at the same time? Well, if that happens, you're basically fucked. It only happens to me a couple times though, so it's not that big of a deal, all things considered. Sometimes you will have to quickly open and close the vents when they go right after another though. After going through the vent, Toy Bonnie will walk through your office, coming in from the right. When he does this, you have to put on the Bonnie mask, which is funny because when he comes through the vents, he'll recognize that the Bonnie mask is fake. But when he's coming through the office, I guess he just doesn't. The final character is JJ. She's basically just BB from the last game. When she shows up, you have to click on her until she goes away. Unlike BB, when she's there, you can't put down the mask. She won't actually kill you though. She's the only character like this in the game, so there's definitely a lot less spam clicking in this installment. She actually doesn't show up that much, which is interesting. Also, if she appears when you have the mask on, she can't force it off, so you could probably beat this game without ever taking the mask off, which is cool. Although I wouldn't recommend that because it's a lot easier to see what you have to click on with the mask off. Before we move on to the second night, I want to talk about the look of the animatronics here. As you may have been able to tell, some of the animatronics here aren't just PNG. Instead, they're old SFM models by I6NIS. I don't know how to say that name, so I just spelled it out. And honestly, I don't like them very much for this game. I don't think they fit the game very well.
Most of the animatronics also have their jump scares ripped from the game, so it causes a sense of dissonance between the jump scare and the rest of the game. And some animatronics do have their assets from the official games, so that's just another level of dissonance. And I know why this was done, since in the games, Toy Freddy and Bonnie don't have sprites of them walking through the office, and Kuno had to make some for the game. But I just don't like it, sorry. Once we beat Night 1, we actually go into a mini game. We play as Toy Bonnie with a ghost child to our right. We are told to give the cake to the child. To do this, you have to grab it with your mouse and walk over to the kid to give it to him. Although you could just not, and the minigame will end either way. But if you do this, you'll get the bad ending, so make sure to give the kid the cake. On night 2, Phone Guy basically tells us nothing. He just says that the animatronics are more active as the week goes on. What the Phone Guy doesn't tell us is the new threat introduced on this night, that being FNaF 1 Freddy. He will walk into your office and cause a blackout. In case you don't know what a blackout is, it's basically what the withered animatronics do to you in FNaF 2. In that game though, it's more annoying since they'll pull down the monitor, and you won't be able to do anything except keep your mask on. In this game though, it actually makes Freddy one of the easiest animatronics since you don't have to wait nearly as long for him to leave, and you can do other things while he's in the office. Also, he is the only character to have a grace period when putting on the mask. It only lasts a couple seconds, but it's nice. With that said, there really isn't anything else to talk about for Night 2. Night 2's minigame is very interesting. Here you play as a child, and you must run from the purple guy, which makes this William's first official appearance as purple guy in the series, although I'm not sure if this actually is William, but I'll talk about that later. You have to run, and you will find 4 dead kids at the end of the hall. William catches up with you, making you the 5th. However, if you click on this poster, you will instead see a woman, most likely the kid's mom, and you run into her arms. Instead of just getting killed, your mom probably does too. Note that the poster says, "I miss you." This will be relevant later. I'm not exactly sure how anyone figured out how to do this, since there's no indication in the game though. On night 3, the phone guy tells us that the door to Foxy is malfunctioning, and that's it. As you may have been able to figure out from that piece of information, this night introduces Foxy as a threat. He is simple. Randomly, the door holding him will open. When this happens, there will be a sound effect. You have like 5 seconds to close it, which you can do while in the mask. If you don't, he'll run in and kill you. The mask does not work on him, of course. I think Foxy's pretty good. He isn't really that much of a threat, but if you get distracted, he could sneak up on you and kill you. The only problem is sometimes right after you close the door, it'll open again, which could lead to some stressful moments if an animatronic is about to enter your office. But overall, he's perfectly fine. Nothing really to say. On the night 3 minigame, we play as a security guard, and we're told to put on the Freddy mask, which means that this obviously isn't the player since we wear a Bonnie mask. Once we put on the mask, we switch to the perspective of Foxy and run down the hall to find Shadow Freddy. I guess this is how Foxy sees the security guards. And if that's true, that means canonically Foxy just attacks who he thinks is a version of Freddy and not the guard, which is actually really funny. Now, if you want to get the good ending, you actually are supposed to not put on the mask, and you run down the hall to get attacked by Foxy. It's kind of weird since in the other mini-games, you don't have to do the opposite of what the minigame tells you to do to unlock the good ending, so it's really weird, I think. Night 4's phone call starts off with the phone guy telling us something we may have noticed. There's an animatronic locked in a room. He says he will fix that eventually, and he'll do something special with the animatronic in there. Whatever that means. He also says that one of the animatronics is moving around like crazy, and we might know who it is, which is interesting. He is of course talking about Springtrap, who is one of the 2 animatronics introduced on this night, along with Fredbear. Both of their assets are taken from the first game, except Fredbear has a new jump scare. Springtrap is almost a reverse Toy Bonnie, who will run in your office through the right side of the office. Unlike the first game where he runs so fast he can run through your office without you having to put on the mask, you have to put on the mask or he'll kill you. After running through your office, he will enter the left event, and obviously you have to seal it when that happens. I'd say that Springtrap is probably the animatronic that killed me the most. Even though he has a simple cycle, he is very fast, so if you get distracted, he could definitely catch you off guard, especially when he runs through the office. Sometimes we'll get in the vent at the same time as Toy Bonnie, and if that happens, you're dead. Sorry. Fredbear, much like the first game, is Springtrap's opposite. He is very slow and will come in through the right side of the office. Put on the mask, and that's it. I will say that his slowness can be nerve-wracking sometimes, but at this point in the game, multiple animatronics will be coming in at the same time anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Night 4's minigame has us play as a child. We have to collect 10 presents while dodging spikes. It's pretty easy. On night 5, the phone guy tells us he plans to look at the animatronics he talked about last night, and he says we can come back for a 6th night. Rather than that, night 5 is just a harder night 4.
Much harder, actually. I'll give you guys a little tip. Make sure not to skip the phone call. If you skip it, Springtrap will immediately become active and he'll get in the vent at the same time as Toy Bonnie and you'll be dead. Rather than that, good luck. I definitely had some trouble on this night, but it wasn't too bad. Night 5's minigame has us play as some gray person. We enter a room with a Bonnie animatronic. We are then asked, what will we do? If we leave the room, we get the bad ending. If we have not completed the requirements for the good ending, we will be forced to leave the room. But if we have met the requirements, we can go up to Bonnie and touch him, unlocking Night 6. Now, I haven't played Night 6, I didn't get all the requirements for it, and I didn't want to replay the whole game, so shout out to the YouTuber Jacob, since I took his footage. I can't speak to Night 6 difficulty since I did not play it. For what I can tell, it's a harder Night 5. The only difference is that the room that's been closed for the whole game is open and no one is in it. When you beat Night 6, you get the good ending, and that's it. There are 2 more endings to talk about. Well, technically 3, I guess, since you still get the worst ending from dying, but that's more of a game over screen. Both endings require unlocking Night 0. To get Night 0, you must get all the minigames wrong, so you don't unlock any of the plushies. Oh yeah, when you get the minigames right, you get plushies on your desk. Not really worth mentioning, but I guess I'll bring it up now. After completing Night 5, walk up to Bonnie, and Night 0 will be unlocked. The only animatronic on Night 0 is Bonnie. Eventually, the doors will open. If you don't close the door, epilepsy warning again. Skip to the timestamp on screen. Bonnie will come to your office, and you'll get another dance party like the first game, getting you the best ending. However, if you close the door on Bonnie, the shadowy figure of a woman will appear before you. She says something, but I can't make it out. I can only make out, "I want you back." Eventually, she will get up to the screen and say, "I miss you," just like the poster of the mother earlier in the game. I know this image looks scary, but it's less scary when this music starts playing over it. You can actually unlock this ending screen at any time of the game. Randomly, the shadow will go through the office. If you click on it, you'll get the "I miss you" screen. I actually don't like this, because since you have to click on the shadow, and it walks right in front of your monitor, there can be times where like you're clicking on Foxy's door or something and the shadow will happen to pass by. And if it happens, it's game over, since the only way to get out of the screen is to close the game. So basically you lose to basically no fault of your own, which is just great. And that was 5 Golden Nights at Freddy's 2. Before we go over my final thoughts, let's talk about the story of this game. I think the story is better than the first. It seems confusing at first, but when you really think about it, it makes sense for the most part. I'm pretty sure this game takes place after the first one, since this is said to be the new Golden Freddy's location and Springtrap and Fredbear are here. Not sure how though, if they disappeared at the end of the first game. So I'm pretty sure that our protagonist here is the same as the first game, due to Phone Guy mentioning us probably already knowing Springtrap and saying we will still have to punch things like we did before. I mean, it's possible that these references mean nothing and are just meta, but I don't care. It's in the game, so unless stated otherwise, I'm just going to pretend this is the case. This begs the question, what happened after the events of the first game? Since if you guys remember, the pizzeria disappeared into thin air. Well, I don't know. At first I thought this game takes place in some sort of like purgatory, and the Phone Guy and player are forced back into their previous roles. But then I remembered the newspaper at the start, and it's not really implied anywhere in the game itself, so I don't know. I guess in the good ending, we probably move on or something if this is the case. If not, then we get fired. I don't know. The good ending is kind of weird. That's all there really is to say about the main plot. So let's talk about those minigames. What's up with those? Why is the purple guy here? And why is there a guard with a Freddy mask? Well, I'm almost certain that these minigames are flashbacks. There's the purple guy chasing down the kids to kill them, while he should be in Springtrap. The Freddy mask, which we know from the first game, Phone Guy bought on eBay, meaning that it was used at Freddy's or Fredbear's or whatever. In the Night 2 minigame, where there are 4 dead kids before we get killed and become the 5th. If you know anything about the story of FNaF, you should know that there are 5 dead kids that possess the animatronics, called the Missing Children Incident, or MCI. I think this minigame shows the MCI, and yeah, I think these minigames are showing that this place we're at is where the kids were killed. One before the MCI, as shown in the Toy Bonnie minigame, most likely being the puppet, and then we see how they possess the animatronics. Foxy most likely killing this night guard. And then the kids catching presents, I don't really know what's going on. And Night 5 is the only one where it could take place in the present. As we know, the Phone Guy was going to check out the room with Bonnie in it after Night 5. And then the Night 5 minigame shows someone going into that Bonnie room. But I don't know, the others are pretty clearly flashbacks, but at the same time it does seem like the obvious implication that this is the Phone Guy, so I just don't know. Anyway, I think these minigames are flashbacks, and showing us the Golden Freddy's location of this game actually takes place at the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. area. Notice the decorations around the building in the minigame? They are the same ones as the present day. This is clearly the same building, and since we seem to see the MCI, it likely takes place in the 80s. And finally, let's talk about the I Miss You girl, who I'm gonna call the Shadow. At first, I thought the Shadow was much more important to the story of this game. I even wrote a whole section about her, but it turns out this character probably doesn't have any relevance, at least to this game. I say this because Kuno only describes the Shadow as an Easter egg for another game series and nothing more. Which is strange though, because the poster in the Night 2 minigame that you have to click on has the words I miss you, and it seems to show a crying girl. So you think the Shadow would be a missing kid or something, but I guess not. However, this might have changed later, and I'll talk about why in the Golden Knights 3 section. And of course, this is just my interpretation of the story. I could be, and probably am, wrong about it. I'm sure most of the story did not have as much thought put into it as I'm putting into it, but I think it's fun to come up with the story, so yeah. Overall, the story is definitely much stronger than Golden Knights 1. There's much more to talk about, and you can actually kind of figure out what's going on. I like it. I like this game overall, too. I think this game pretty much improved on the first in every way. Better gameplay, better story. The only thing I really didn't like is the SFM models, but I don't really care about that, to be honest. Overall, this game is pretty fun, definitely better than the first. Although personally, I do actually enjoy the first game better. I know it's worse, but honestly, I had more fun with it. I have more nostalgia for it too, since I used to watch Let's Players play it as a kid, but that doesn't mean I didn't like this game. I'll give this game an 8 out of 10. I think that's pretty good. However, is it the hardest FNaF game like the description says? No, not at all. I mean, it's harder than the first game, but that game is like really easy. I had a lot of trouble on night 5, but every night before that I only died once or twice, or not at all. So yeah, I wouldn't be putting this in any top 10 hardest FNaF fan games list. I don't know if it was hard for the time, but it definitely isn't now. I can't really tell how well received Golden Knights 2 was, but I do know it was definitely less popular than the first. After the release of Golden Knights 2, Kuno said they were moving on from FNaF forever and released a game called Her Nightmares, which is apparently about the I Miss You girl. I strongly considered playing it for this video, but I decided against it. I don't know if my computer can handle it, and there's a remake and it's like 7 years worth of stuff to talk about. Plus Golden Knights 3 has the I Miss You girl in it, so it probably isn't even about her anymore. However, if this video does well and I get an actual PC that's high quality, I would definitely consider checking this game out. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that in the comments. Anyway, Kuno said they were leaving FNaF forever, and then a little while later made this post. Goodbye FGNAF 2. I'm removing my FNaF games this weekend. I'm sick of them, and I'm not a FNaF fan. Give me one good reason not to, and I might consider not removing them. I'm not exactly sure what led to this. Kuno got reasons not to remove them. My favorite reply was someone asking for a poll, and Kuno straight up said no. Kuno really wanted these games gone. Luckily, Kuno gave everyone a chance. If you played the, at that time, recent update of Her Nightmares and got the good ending, the games would stay up. And obviously, this happened. Kuno, this wasn't just a stunt to get people to play your new game, was it? I mean, that's definitely the vibe I'm getting, but I don't know for sure. And yeah, the game stayed up. Now, I would go on to Golden Knights 3, but we actually have to backtrack a little. You see, between Golden Knights 2 and the threat of all the Golden Knight games being taken down, Kuno actually released another game. A game you can't find on GameJolt anymore. Well, you can, but it's unlisted. That game is one Golden Knight at Freddy's. One Golden Knight at Freddy's was released on May 19th, 2015. This game seems to have gone under the radar for the most part. The most popular video is Daco's, and it has 16k views. Now, if I could get that many views on this video, I would be happy, but it's definitely a lot less than the most popular video for Golden Knights 1, which is Fusions with almost 2 million. Hell, like I said earlier, the game isn't even public on GameJolt anymore for some reason. My guess as for why this is because it's not canon. At least that's what I've heard. The only way to access it is to go to 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's wiki, since the page for one Golden Knight at Freddy's still has the link to the GameJolt page. Also, the wiki is really dead. Golden Knights 3 isn't even on there. The only thing to note from the GameJolt page is that there was a phase where Kuno was sick of FNaF, and apparently the Golden Knight games were taken down before the weird ultimatum thing with Her Nightmares, so there is at least some truth to that, even if I still think it was probably a publicity stunt. Anyway, I'm excited to talk about this game since there isn't much information out there. The first thing I want to mention about this game is the title screen. It's sort of weird. It says you have to enter a coin, and at first I thought this was just some weird way to say press start, but when you press space or the enter key to start the game, the title screen just resets. The way you get the coin is by pressing the C key. You only get one. You'd think there would be something else tied to this, but there isn't, so it's just kind of strange, at least to me. One Golden Knight at Freddy's starts with this dialogue.
Hey, you remember our bet, right? Good. I want you to go inside the old warehouse and bring me one of those old cupcake plates. that and just get out of there. Is right. Well, good luck. See you tomorrow at school.
So we play as a child, I'm assuming, since we have school the next day, and this guy wants us to get a cupcake plushie. We have to go to an old warehouse to find it. We load into the game outside of the warehouse. The first thing we might notice are these two icons at the top of the screen. An exposure meter, which I'll talk about later, and a map. Clicking on the map shows us the layout of the building, with a red X indicating where we are. This place is pretty small, only 6 rooms. To our right outside is a key, which we'll need for later. Unlike the previous 2 entries, One Golden Night at Freddy's is a click-and-point free roam game, and where you can go is indicated by the area turning white when your cursor goes over it. Entering the factory, you can go forward and go to a hallway, which is where you'll encounter the only antagonist in this game, Draw Kill Bonnie. In case you don't know, the Draw Kills are fan-made animatronics. They're probably best known for being part of Golden Lane Studios' FNaF series, which I've always wanted to cover. Let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing that. There's this great video by MR Springs that goes over the history of this set of animatronics. Here's where the exposure meter comes into play. Bonnie won't just kill you right when he sees you. Instead, your exposure will deplete very quickly if he sees you. And if it goes all the way down, he'll kill you, obviously. As soon as you enter a different room or out of his line of sight, the exposure meter will stop depleting and you'll slowly get the exposure back over time. And this is the gameplay loop of this game. Just go around and try to find the cupcake, which is very easy. Remember that key from earlier? Yeah, just grab that and it will unlock the door to the left in the hallway. Once that's unlocked, you'll be in security office, I'm assuming. Here is the cupcake, which is just the cupcake from FNaF 1. There will also be a monitor, much like Golden Knights 1 and 2, which tracks Bonnie's movement, so you can use this to plan your escape. After getting the cupcake, just go back the way you came and you'll get the bad ending. What? Wait, why do you get the bad ending for doing what you were told to do and surviving? Anyway, there are 2 more endings to this game. The best and good ending. The way you get the best ending is simple. Don't pick up the key and go to the room closest to your right in the hallway. Here is a locker. Enter it and wait for a bit. Then Bonnie will show up in front of you, and a song I can't play because it's copyrighted will play, and you'll get the best ending. I don't know how this counts as the best ending. You know, there's no dance party, and also you probably die. To get the good ending, which I couldn't get for reasons I'll talk about later, so I'm just using Dako's footage, you have to go to the bathroom, which is the farthest door to your right in the hallway. You can't enter it if Bonnie is in front of you, so if he is, wait for him to leave. Turn on the light, unless you see Bonnie in the mirror and you'll have to turn it off and wait for him to go. Then you can kind of just spam click on the faucet until a key falls out. Now, for me, when I did this, for some reason, the key wouldn't come out. It would drop like a water droplet or something. I tried to get this for like 10 minutes and then I gave up because I really don't care that much. After you get the key, go back to the hallway and click on the wooden pallets above you. Then you'll be able to enter an attic. When you enter it, the room will be empty, but if you open and close the map, you'll see a golden cupcake. Grab it and grab the other cupcake if you haven't already and leave. With that, you'll unlock the good ending. I'm not sure how anybody figured this out. There's nothing in the game that indicates this. I guess you just have to go and click around and hope you find something. And that was all One Golden Night at Freddy's has to offer. Yeah, it's a very short game. I mean, you can beat it in less than 2 minutes. I want everyone to go and download this game and see how quickly you can get the good ending. Before we talk about my final thoughts, I want to talk a little bit about the atmosphere of this game, which is my favorite part of it. The atmosphere here is far better than the first 2 games, at least to me. It's dark and gritty and kind of feels like a nightmare, or like a twisted memory, but in like a childlike way, if that makes sense. And I think the voice lines of Bonnie you can hear when he spots you definitely help with that. The ambience noise too, it just gives off the vibes that you aren't supposed to be here. The PNGs of Bonnie definitely help with this nightmare feeling as well, since like he fits in, but at the same time like he doesn't. Overall though, I do think this game is the worst so far. I mean, it's fine for what it is, and I always like click and point free roam, but there is so little content. The gameplay is very easy, and Bonnie never feels like a threat. And despite this being maybe the most unnerving game for me, I never felt scared while playing it. Even though this game definitely feels like it's trying to be much more of a horror game. More so than the first 2 anyway. I do appreciate the evolution in the gameplay with the free roam aspects though. And it's really hard to say this game is bad because it's well made and everything, it's just short. I'll give it like a 6.5 out of 10. As for the story, I've seen people say this game isn't canon, but I don't see why. I mean, this could just happen anytime before the first game or after the second game. Nothing really happens, so I don't see why not. I'll assume it's not canon because that's what I've heard. After the release of One Golden Night at Freddy's, the series just kinda ended. There was nothing really going on. Kuno did mention the idea of a VR version of Golden Knights 1, but that never went anywhere. And Kuno moved on, working on other projects. In 2020, Kuno did make a minor update for Golden Knights 2, making it so both the vent buttons and Foxy's door just have to be clicked once instead of double clicked. And then, on October 29th, 2021, the Misfits Burger Joint was released. Misfits Burger Joint is a remake of Golden Knight 1. It was a minigame in Kuno's other game, and then released as a standalone thing later. Of course, after I learned about this, I knew I had to include it in the video. I mean, it's not a FNaF fan game, but it's an official remake of a game in the series. I can't just not talk about it, so I'm going to now. Misfits only has 3 threats: the psycho bunny, the dumb bear, and the annoying fox. The bear and the bunny are just Springtrap and Fredbear. What a surprise, I know. The only things to note is that the bunny won't run past the office even if you have the mask on, and the bear is faster than Fredbear was in the original game. The annoying fox will come in from the ceiling. He is pretty much like everyone else from Golden Knights 1. However, you don't click on him to make him go away, instead you have to push this red button 10 times. He will also disable your monitor and will make the night go slower. However, from what I can tell, he won't kill you if you don't deal with him fast enough, so you could probably just keep the mask on the entire game. I don't know though. I beat this game fair and square. I would say the basic strategy is to watch the characters on the feed, and if the fox comes down, deal with him unless you're not sure if the bear and bunny are close. If you aren't sure, just put on your mask until they go through, and you'll have enough time to deal with the fox. Something worth noting is the art style. I like it. I think it looks good. It's simplistic and it fits the vibe of the game well. This definitely isn't a horror game. This game is harder than Golden Knights 1, just because it can be hard to predict where the bear and bunny are when the fox is in. But it's only one night, so whatever. When you beat the night, you get a screen saying you win and that's it. Overall, the game is good. I mean, it's just a mini game anyway. It's kind of unfair to compare it to a full-length Golden Knight game. I'd say it works fine as a remake, although I definitely prefer the original game here. There's just more content and has a better gameplay loop, I think. You also don't have to spam your mouse 10 times in the original, which is better in my opinion. I guess I'll give this game like a 7 out of 10. Misfit shows us that Kuno still had interest in the Golden Knight series. Well, maybe it shows us this, I don't know, I just want to talk about it. It may not play into the greater story here, but if it did, then it makes sense why sometime shortly after Misfits was made as a standalone, a Game Jolt page for 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's 3 went up. Kuno said Kuno didn't just want to make another Golden Knights game, and Kuno wanted this game to be more like Sister Location. After that, there were updates on the progress of the game until 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's 3 Storage released on April 16th, 2022, 7 years after the last game. Alright, first things first, I just want to apologize for the gameplay footage. I had to record it on my phone since my computer was on its last legs when I downloaded this game, so I just could not record the gameplay. And I didn't really want to take anyone else's gameplay again, so this is the next best thing. 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's 3 takes a new approach on the series, having it be a 2D side-scroller. Although there is of course office gameplay similar to the first 2 games, and aspects of 1 Golden Knights at Freddy's point-and-click free roam as well. The game begins with our unnamed protagonist entering the facility the game takes place at. He's here for a very simple reason. As the game's description says, you arrive at a strange abandoned facility. You've heard your sister is here, and you want to find her. It's nice to have an actual motivation for our protagonist. The first thing he says when he arrives at the facility is that he should be careful because there might be some shady homeless people here. Sure, I guess that could be true. He also says that this place makes his head hurt. Keep this in mind. We can explore the location by walking around using WASD and clicking on doors that turn white when our cursor goes over them. The first door you'll be likely to enter is the storage room right at the entrance of the building. Here you can find a Freddy mask, which you do need to progress further in the game, so be sure to pick it up. We exit the room and walk down the hall. We will see that there is a room that is boarded up, and that will need something like a crowbar to enter. And we find a door that is locked, and we'll have to find a key to access it. Walking further down the hallway, Freddy Fazbear walks by, and our protagonist says it does not look like the silhouette of a homeless person. Yeah, it sure doesn't. We go to the end of the hall and enter a new area. But based on the map, it's really just the same hallway, but like the other side of it. Foxy runs by and we have to hide in a box. This is the only time this mechanic comes up. Going to the bathroom, our protagonist states that he doesn't need to go, which is good because if he did, there wouldn't be any water to wash his hands with. We also find a locked stall. We'd need something like a crowbar to open it, if only we could find one in the game. The key we need is also in this room, on top of a mirror. There's also another room right next to the bathroom. I'm not sure what this is. It looks like a room out of an asylum, so I guess this is the real Five Nights in an Asylum. In this room, there is a Bonnie mask, which we need to progress, so make sure to pick it up. Wait, a Freddy mask and a Bonnie mask?
What is this, some kind of Golden Knights at Freddy's 1 and 2 reference? On the way to the locked door, there is this big door that is locked. There is not even a handle to open it. We go back to the locked door, and with the key we picked up earlier, we can enter, and we find ourselves in an office, and our first office gameplay segment begins. There are 4 animatronics active during this segment, those being Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. Freddy will come from the left side of the office. To deal with him, you have to put on your Freddy mask, and wait for him to walk to the other side of the office. And side note here, but I think the animatronic models in this game, which were made by these guys, look really good. Definitely fit in better than the models in Golden Knights 2. Bonnie is just like Freddy, however he will instead come from the right. To deal with them, you have to put on the Bonnie mask. Now you might be wondering, how can you tell which one of them is coming? Well, you have to use audio cues. They will make footsteps when they approach, and you'll be able to tell which side they're coming from, so you know which mask to put on. This is probably easier with headphones, but I played without them and it was still very easy to tell which side the footsteps were coming from. I think Freddy and Bonnie are fine. Chica is arguably the most simple character in this segment. Randomly her cupcake will spawn in, and it will make a sound effect when it does this. Just click on it and you're good. Foxy is the final character. You see, in your office there's a door to your left. The door you came in through, obviously. It starts off open and you have to close it. It will randomly open throughout the night, making a sound effect when it does that. Just go and keep it shut. Randomly, Foxy will try to get into your office, and again, he'll make a sound effect when he does this. If the door is closed, he won't get in. Now, you'd think you only have to close the door when Foxy's coming to the office. However, you're actually supposed to just keep it closed all night. I'm not really sure why. I guess it's in case you have to deal with Freddy and Bonnie while Foxy's coming, which makes sense. However, the door can open right after you close it, which can lead to some deaths if you're unlucky. Like, one time I closed the door and had to put on the mask to deal with Freddy or Bonnie. And while I was doing this, not only did Foxy attack, but the door opened in the middle of me having the mask on. And I couldn't do anything, and Foxy killed me. So this section definitely does have some RNG. Although I do think this scenario is rare, and I wouldn't worry about it anyway, since you can sometimes play this section without Foxy ever appearing, which is weird, I think. But I'm not complaining. There's also a plushie of a character from another game. Her name is Heiyama-chan. If it shows up, you'll have to click on it or she'll kill you. Very interesting decision to include this character. The way you beat this section is by restoring the power, which just means waiting for the percentage at the top of the screen to get to 100%. The only reason we do this entire section, by the way, is because the protagonist thinks something might happen. Also, fun fact, if you don't start this section, you can just leave and explore more if you want. I think that's cool. Overall, I like this section. I think everything plays out well. The only problem I have is the RNG with Foxy, but most of the time he might not even show up, so it's not really that big of a deal. This section also acts as a tutorial, showing us the mechanics of the characters before the true night, but I'll get to that later. After completing the office section, we have to go back to the big door that we couldn't open. Going inside, we find out this place is not a garage, which we never thought it was. The room seems to be a medical room or something. It's a mess and it's bloody. There are trash bags too, which are probably holding bodies. We find a rusty crowbar, which the protagonist says we might be able to use once or twice. Somehow he managed to guess the amount of times we have to use it perfectly. If we go back to the boarded room from the start of the game, we can use our crowbar on it, breaking it in the process. When we enter, we find a staircase, and our protagonist saying it must be the place, whatever that means. He says that once he goes down here, there's no coming back, but I'm not really sure why he thinks this or why it's the case. Going down there, we find a familiar sight. The basement led to the location from 5 Golden Knights at Freddy's 1. This time, there is a Fredbear poster on the side of the wall, and the FNaF 3 newspapers on the right. This is where the final Sit and Survive section of the game is. There are 7 animatronics on this night. They're divided by masked characters and other characters I don't have a name for. The masked characters are Freddy, Bonnie, Withered Spring Bonnie, and Withered Fredbear. They are the characters that will constantly move around. The mechanics of these characters were foreshadowed in the previous office segment. For Freddy and Bonnie, you have to put on the mask of their corresponding characters. This time you don't have to rely on sound cues because you can just see their movements on the map. As for Withered Spring Bonnie and Withered Fredbear, they are pretty similar to how they work in Golden Knights 1 and 2. Spring Bonnie will run very fast throughout the building. When he runs past your office, put on the Bonnie mask. As for Fredbear, he'll move the slowest out of all the characters. When he comes through your office, put on the Freddy mask. Also, he finally has an original model and isn't just Phantom Freddy, and it looks really good. While I would have preferred a more accurate Fredbear design to the games, that being a recolor of FNaF 1 Freddy, I still like the Withered Freddy look. Although I do think it's funny that Fredbear and Spring Bonnie only get fooled by the mask of their corresponding character, even though in Golden Knights 1 and 2, they were fooled by both masks. You'd think this goes for FNaF 1 Freddy too, since he is fooled by the Bonnie mask in Golden Knights 2, but it actually doesn't, and I'll explain why later. Now, all of these masked characters have the same problem as Golden Knights 2, where there's really no grace period in them entering the office and you putting on the mask. Unlike Golden Knights at Freddy's 2 though, you aren't dealing with as much stuff, so it really isn't a problem. The other characters are Chica, Foxy, and Endo 1.
For Chica, it's exactly the same as the previous office segment. When her cupcake spawns in the office, click on it. As for Foxy, he'll be in a room with a locked door, just like Golden Knights 2. When it opens, the button will turn green on the monitor. Click on it to close it. If he escapes, the other animatronics will disappear, and he'll actually take a decent amount of time to get to your office. So if you're almost at the end of the night, him getting out isn't an instant game over. As for Endo 1, he will randomly show up on the monitor. When he does this, you will be unable to see where any of the characters are. Just click on the computer to make him go away. I don't really have an issue with any of these characters, they all work fine. Now, before we talk about this night overall, I should tell you guys that I'm pretty sure this night is partially scripted, and by that I mean the movements of Freddy, Bonnie, Fredbear, and Spring Bonnie are scripted. I think that's because they don't have an AI in the custom night. It makes sense why they would be scripted. I mean, there are 2 masks you have to put on. Imagine if there was a random chance you could have the Bonnie mask on while dealing with Spring Bonnie, but then Freddy comes in and you're dead at no fault of your own. That would suck, obviously. Because of the possibility of scenarios like this, the masked characters must be scripted. And yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I just thought it was something worth calling out. Overall, this night is good, I think. It's more challenging than Golden Knights 1, but not nearly as hard as Golden Knights 2. So basically it's really easy, but it's fun. Everyone works together well. It acts as a nice final send-off to the Golden Knight series. To win the night, you must wait for the power of the building to run out, and you can see the progress of this on the computer monitor. It's kind of a reversal of the previous segment. When it gets to 0%, a cutscene will play. We'll see this guy in purple, who is our protagonist, but I don't know why he is wearing purple when he wears blue throughout the rest of the game, or why his hair is shorter. The text below says that the building power has run out, but most of the animatronics are still active. We still have a headache and we're getting tired, and then we get the volunteer ending and unlock basement mode, which is basically just a custom night. I'm not sure why we couldn't just go back upstairs, but whatever. I also think that the reason our guy has shorter hair is because it's supposed to represent the idea of him being stuck down here forever, but I'm not sure. There are 2 more endings in this game. The second ending can be achieved by going back to the start of the game after getting the crowbar and clicking on the exit sign. When you do, the protagonist decides to leave the place and let the police handle whatever is going on here. Doing this rewards us with the F this I'm out ending, which I guess is the closest thing this game has to a best ending. The third ending requires you to go to the bathroom after getting the crowbar. You can now open that locked stall. Doing this will not break your crowbar. Going inside, you will instantly notice something glowing from inside the toilet seat. This is a disc. If we hover over the icon for the disc, we have an option to break it. When we do this, our player says that his headache goes away. Wait, so let me get this straight. We have this disc that is hidden, and when we break it, our headache we only got when entering this location goes away. Almost like the disc was giving us the headache. If you know anything about the deeper FNAF lore, you should start to be able to figure out what this disc is, but I'll tell you later. If we go back to the final office section, we will see that the only animatronics active are Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. Almost like the other ones weren't real, almost like they were illusions. This night is really easy because it's just the 2 of them. Once we beat it, we get a cutscene. The office chair is now empty, the text under it saying the building's power is out, and everything got quiet, meaning Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are no longer active. Which makes sense if you remember in the volunteer ending, it says that most of the animatronics were still active, but not all. Those animatronics must have been the Core 4 and Endo 1, which makes sense if they were illusions caused by the disc. The protagonist gets up with caution and starts looking around the basement. Doing this rewards us with the reunion ending, with a familiar shadow being shown. Let's talk about the basement mode now, which is the only custom night in the series. The only animatronics that you can customize are Foxy, Endo 1, and Chica, which makes sense since, you know, the other 4 are scripted, and their AI only goes up to 3. There's also this thing that says frequency, but to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what this does. It only goes up to 3 as well. The custom night is fine, it's just the normal basement mode, although there is a secret character in custom night. When loading into the custom night, a message will appear on your screen saying to type her name in the select screen for custom night. But who is this she? Well, if you go to the custom night screen and type in the letters Hayami, you unlock Hayama, which is the same character as the plush that can randomly spawn in your office in the first section. A very interesting decision to include her in custom night, but not nearly as interesting as her mechanic, which is she will randomly appear in your office. When she does this, you have to give her head pats. Yes, this is real. I'm not exactly sure what to say about this, and I'll just let you guys come to your own conclusions. If you beat the custom night with every character at max AI and the girl too, you'll get a message saying good job, and that's it. Before we talk about my final thoughts, let's talk about the lore of this game. There's actually quite a lot. There's of course the main plotline with us trying to find our sister, but there's a deeper plotline underneath the surface that explains just what this place is. But first, we have to ask the question, is this game a prequel or a sequel? Well, I have no idea.
idea. There's a lot pointing towards it being a prequel to Golden Knight 1, like Spring Bonnie not having William's corpse, and the Fredbear Family Diner posters, and both the Freddy mask and Bonnie mask being the same place, when we know they just aren't in Golden Knights 1 and 2. But there is one detail that makes me unsure about this conclusion, that being the newspapers and Fredbears. These newspapers are the one from FNaF 3, just like in Golden Knights 1, which would indicate it's after, right? And yeah, it would. So I'm not really sure if this game is a prequel or a sequel, and I'll need you guys to let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, I think this game finally gives us an answer to who the I Miss You girl is. Like I said in the Golden Knights 2 section, she was originally just there as an Easter egg, but the reunion ending just straight up has her here. It's called the reunion ending, and obviously we are here to find our missing sister. So I think the obvious implication here is that this is our sister who went missing at this facility. And that would imply that our protagonist here is the same as in Golden Knights 2, and therefore Golden Knights 1. Speaking of the reunion ending, what's up with it? Why do we only see Fredbear and Spring Bonnie after breaking the disc? And why does our headache go away? Well, I think the disc is very obviously an illusion disc, which is something Kuno confirmed. In case you don't know, illusion discs are technology introduced in the Twisted Ones novel. It works differently there, though, than it seems to work in this game. Here, the disc causes you to straight up hallucinate animatronics out of thin air, and that's not how it works in the book. There, the discs are still on animatronics. They're just causing you to view them differently, which causes the headache. It's very cool to see them in this game since we don't really see them often in fanworks. I wonder if the illusion disc could explain the other animatronics in Golden Knights 1. As you may remember, they just showed up and weren't brought to the location. I don't know, just food for thought. But why is the illusion disc here, and what is this facility? Well, this is explained in text you can get when loading into rooms. I only found 4, but there may be more. They tell us about 2 people named Adam and Charles, who ran experiments here. They're pretty much like William Afton, trying to find immortality through Remnant. I'm not sure if that means one of these guys is Purple Guy here, or if William still exists as his own separate character. Either way, they ran experiments. The room where we get the crowbar probably shows us where they put the bodies of their victims, and obviously, the protagonist's sister is one of these victims, most likely being the girl talked about in the text talking about the final experiment. We don't know much about these experiments except for one. In their research, they noticed that to fully take advantage of the technology, they need to stimulate the existence of a night guard. They trapped volunteers in fake restaurants. This explains the Fredbears hidden in the basement, and why we are called a volunteer in the volunteer ending. This makes me wonder if the game could be after the first one, and the Fredbear series is a recreation of the first game's location. Explain the newspapers, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Adam and Charles did experiments, and that's all we know. As for which ending is canon, I really don't know. All have an equal chance of being canon. And again, this is all just my interpretation of the lore. I could be 100% wrong. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Overall, the lore is definitely the strongest out of any Golden Knight game. I just wish there was more because we don't really know a lot about Adam and Charles and how they tie into the larger story. We also don't know if our protagonist is related to the I Miss You girl. I mean, I feel like that's the obvious implication, but I could be absolutely wrong. I know Kuno is talking about a Golden Knight 1 remake, so maybe the lore will be retold, tying more into Golden Knights 3. Overall, I like this game. It's fun, and I like how it combines aspects of the other games up to this point. It feels like a neat conclusion gameplay-wise, although story-wise I find it unsatisfying, if not interesting. My only real complaint about the game is that it's too short, and if that's my biggest complaint, you definitely made a good game. I guess it's also pretty easy, but so is every game in the series. I just wish there was another level, maybe with the toys or Draw Kill Bonnie. I think it's cool that there's a custom night, even if it's pretty bare bones. I like all of the endings, I just wish there was another best ending one, because they were kind of a staple of the series. Although I guess it might not fit this game's bleaker tone, even though that anime girl is in this game and she doesn't really fit the tone either. Overall, I'll give this game like an 8 out of 10. Unfortunately, Golden Knights 3 did not get anywhere close to the same level of attention as Golden Knights 1, 2, or even one Golden Knight at Freddy's. The most popular video I could find on the game only has 15k views, and none of the big Let's Players played it, which sucks because I think this game could have been really popular. It really did feel like a classic FNaF fan game from 2015. Kuno is still making games today, the most recent project being something called the Kunoverse, an official hub for all the games in the Kunoverse, which is the universe where Kuno's games take place in. I'm guessing not Golden Knight at Freddy's because of copyright stuff, As of October 5th, 2025, Kuno asked if anyone would make assets for a Golden Knight remake if Kuno did the programming. So could there be a Golden Knight 1 remake in the future? Only time will tell. Overall, this video has been a massive nostalgia trip for me. I never knew this game I used to watch Fusing the Gamer play that scared me so bad I had to hide under the covers of my bed at my grandma's house. Yeah, I know, I was only 7 years old, okay? But it actually expanded into 4 games, and a 5th game that's not even really related, but I still want to talk about anyway. I also did not expect the mechanic of having to pat some girl's head eventually being in the series, but it is. Overall, the story of the 5 Golden Knights of Freddy series shows us something about the human experience. It shows us an unfortunate truth of life. That sometimes you can improve and yet not always get the recognition you deserve. But I hope with this video, The Hell in Freddy's is an upcoming FNaF fan game by the developer Dark House Games. To tease the game, Dark House made a minigame collection that tells some lore and oh. Alright guys, so The Hell in Freddy's is probably my favorite thing ever right now. I'm sorry Breaking Bad, you were washed compared to The Hell in Freddy's actually.
Yours is just some tepid off-brand generic cola.
What I'm making is classic Coke. Do you really want to live in a world without Coca-Cola?
Guys, it's crazy. Like, with 3 games and a wiki page that, dude, that's a whole experience on its own. Trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for it. This fan game series legitimately has the most insane lore I have ever seen in a fan game or any fan project. Yes, even more than The Return of Freddy's, which has super cancer. Before we get into it though, I'm gonna have to shout out the YouTuber Oscar Maguire. He made a video about this series like a year ago, which is what brought this life-changing series to my attention. Huge shout out to him. Only the second time I've stolen a video idea from him. I am going to be poking some fun at these games because, as you guys are going to see, things get pretty crazy, but I don't hate these games or anything. And Dark House, if you're watching this, I genuinely love this series so much, so, you know, keep making it. Alright, let's talk about it. But we should ask, what is The Hell in Freddy's?
Will be entertaining.
So The Hell in Freddy's Revengeance is an upcoming fan game, from what I can tell. And it's been in development for about 2 years. Now, we don't know much about the game. We know a little bit, and I'll talk about that when we get to the wiki. But to explain some of the lore before the game came out, Dark House Games decided to make The Hell in Freddy's Revengeance Volume 1, which is basically a minigame collection that focuses on the story of William Afton, who is basically the main protagonist of the series so far. Michael is here, and the collection kind of focuses on his story too, but it doesn't really do anything as of now, though there is something really interesting about him that we'll get to later. I think that's pretty much all the context you need, so let's talk about Volume 1. Volume 1 has 6 mini-games for us to play. The first one has us play as this man dressed in pink, and spoiler alert, this is William Afton. We're in the back rooms of some place and walk over to the Spring Bonnie suit. Unfortunately for William, the spring locks go off.
I seem to have a problem here.
But William is actually kinda awesome and can survive the spring lock failure, but it comes at a heavy price. He slowly takes off his suit, but something is wrong. His skin has turned purple. Not symbolically like in the actual FNaF games, no, it's just actually purple now. He's a real purple guy. And he's naked too, I guess.
It's a Fazbear special.
The screen cuts to black and the words "I always come back" appear on screen. Somehow the phrase's usage here actually makes more sense than in the FNaF movie. In a Game Jolt comment, Dark House Games actually stated that William was testing out the spring locks here and he wasn't going to kill kids or anything. So it's pretty nice that the dev is clarifying stuff with the story. Dark House 1, Scott Cawthon 0. I'm also pretty sure that this is the first event in the timeline. Well, actually, I mean, it's not, and we'll get to that later, trust me. But for Volume 1, this is the first event in the timeline. And we know this because in every other minigame in the future, William will be purple. I also think this is inspired by the FNaF Silver Eyes novel, since in that series, William did actually survive a previous spring locking implied to have been caused by Henry Emily. What a fucking monster that guy is. Though in the novel trilogy, he doesn't turn purple, he actually looks a lot worse.
I seem to have a problem here.
I did find a bug in this minigame. There's a glitch where if you go to the right instead of the left, you get soft locked. Like, the game won't let you go to the left and beat the minigame. Now, you can just restart the game real quick, but actually there are not allowed to be bugs in any video games. It's why Steel Wool, famous developers of Hello Neighbor VR, try their best not to let there be any bugs in their games. So this game is losing points quickly. Let's hope it can gain them back. Minigame 2 has the first kind of crazy lore reveal. We play as Billy once again. A version of the song "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This"
plays in the background. We see that in the room we're in, there is the head of the Freddy in the FNAF 2 Take Cake from the Children minigame. The obvious implication being that this minigame takes place at that location. For those unaware, it's the same Freddy as this teaser. I don't know if it's supposed to be Fredbear's. In FNAF canon, we know that it's Freddy's because of this book, but I don't know if here it's Fredbear's or not, and that doesn't matter. On the other end of a room, there is a pink suit. Afton walks up to it and puts it on. We then see that purple guy from FNAF 2 that's seen a couple minigames. It was a suit the whole time. So basically that purple guy sprite in FNAF 2 that some people thought was a whole separate character called a pink guy, that's a whole suit in this universe. Now this has some interesting implications. My first question is, what animatronic even is this? Is this just supposed to be like a guy? A pink guy? Also, I guess William was driving with this suit on. That's awesome. I imagine Dark House made the pink guy a suit to explain why William was pink in Take Cake to the Children, when it was just established he is literally purple. Not pink, no Color Brothers nonsense here. No, it's Color Lovers, I think. The suit is called EE82EE, but when I put my mouse cursor over its image in the Dark House wiki, it says EE83EE, which I don't know if that means anything. I think the 82 is supposed to be a year, but I'm not sure. And before you guys are like, oh, they predicted the FNAF movie before it came out. Nope, because this was actually in the novels and then was retconned to be 1983. They didn't predict it.
I'm not calling it this though, I'm just gonna call it the pink suit. That name is a lot cooler anyway, because pink is a fucking awesome color. Anyone who hates on pink, dude, you're lame. Sorry. Minigame 3 starts out with William in a new place. The place we were in, it has red walls. To our right is a Fredbear suit. Text above it says revenge. We put on the Fredbear suit. We walk out and see a boy in a green shirt and blue jeans. The Freddy bully from FNAF 4. We walk up to the boy and holy shit, we strangle him. Okay. I mean, kind of strange to do this in the middle of the pizzeria. Is the place not open? Whatever, gotta keep trucking on. William finds his next target, the Bonnie bully from FNAF 4, but I mean, he should be safe in canon. He lives well past 1983, so he should... Oh shit, we stabbed him. In the next room is the Chica bully. We walk up to them and fucking rip their guts out. Yeah, hey, this isn't your grandma's FNAF, dude. Nah, this is mature, just like JT Music's FNAF. Go get yourself a PJ from Fox. This is what the FNAF movie should have been. It pisses me off just thinking about it. We move on to the final room, and at the end stands the older brother. Okay, well, he's safe. I mean, come on, dude, this is Michael Afton. He's literally all over the teasers for this game. He has to be safe. Dad, I'm sorry. It was just an accident. Yeah, exactly. So William's gonna let him go. I mean, look, he even got the suit. All right, so the scene goes quiet for a moment, and then William pulls out a fucking gun and he shoots the older brother. What the fuck is going on? Why is this the second video I've made in a row where William Afton uses a gun specifically on the Foxy brother? Okay, so the minigame ends with a cut to black, but we hear the spring lock sound from FNAF 3, so the implication is clear. He shot his son, and as I'm sure you're figuring out right now, this is not Michael. In this universe, the older brother is named Terrence Afton. In case you guys don't know, that is an old fan-made name for the character before we knew he was Mike. So basically, just to recap this minigame, it's right after or sometime after the Bite of 83, and William is getting revenge on the bullies who killed his son, the crying child. And this incident is dubbed the Fredbear Massacre. Why William chose to kill them in the ways he did, I'm not sure. And then his son says, Dad, it was just an accident. William shoots him and he says, it was just an accident, because he's being a bit of a bad person. The whole idea of William getting revenge seems to be his motivation in this series, as we see in an old teaser where he says, that's it, I'm going to kill for revenge.
William seeks his revenge against
You guys like my William voice? Someone complimented it in my last video, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Before we move on to minigame 4, I'm gonna have to say that the sprite work in this game is really, really good. Fredbear here looks amazing, and the gore is really good as well, like so good I may have to censor. Speaking of gore, this isn't even the peak of the series' brutality, but we'll get to that later. Minigame 4 starts up with William holding a head. We walk over to find a man standing there with a robotic endoskeleton head. We then get text saying, I will put you back together. This is showing us the creation of Michael Afton. Yeah, that's right, we're doing MikeBot here. In case you don't know, MikeBot was the theory that Michael Afton was a robot, usually a version of the crying child, and MatPat actually popularized it, so I was awesome.
In a lot of ways, theory crafting is like writing fan fiction.
Now here's the thing, Michael here is not a robot of the crying child or even the Foxy bro, so it's that Mike 4th theory where Michael is neither of them. Hey Jimmy, give me a Michael Afton with nothing. According to his page on the Dark House Games wiki, Michael's actually made of the flesh of the crying child who is named Chris here, again a very popular fan name, Terrence Afton, and the other bullies. Now from what we know, Michael was made after the death of William's other children, including Elizabeth apparently. So Michael was basically just a replacement for William's children from William's point of view anyway. Of course, if he didn't kill his only other son, this wouldn't have happened, so great job there William. Or wait,
I'm sorry, it was just an accident, my bad. This actually proposes an interesting question regarding Michael's character. What would it be like for a child to basically be a replacement for their father's other children? Which is of course symbolized by him being made up of the flesh of the other two sons, and not actually being made out of love, but instead created in a lab, basically, and being a robot. How would that affect Mike? Would he even know? Would he feel the need to win approval from his father, or will he free his father's victims, who presumably, much like him, were reduced to robots? Okay, Dark House Games, I'll give it to you. You actually somehow made MikeBot a compelling narrative.
Sounds crazy? Let's look at the clues.
It's still really fucking funny though, come on, let's be honest. Minigame 5 starts with Michael in a blue environment, with text above it saying, run, run, run. So we run and find the pink suit. We go into it and see Ballora is following us. How interesting. Why'd I put that in the script? We then get a POV shot from Mike's perspective, which is a recolor of that Springlock suit from Night 4 of Sister Location. Text shows up that says, I'm trapped. Or wait, I'm trapped.
Inside the Springlock suit.
So this is not only showing us that the pink suit is a Springlock suit, but also a Funtime suit. So does that imply that by the time of the second minigame, Circus Babies already existed? I don't know. The wiki also says that William and Mike's souls are in the suit after they wear it. I don't know how that works, though it implies Michael has a soul. Is it his own soul, or is it the souls of the children he's made up of? That's a really interesting question. Unfortunately, this is the last we see of Michael. Well, I mean, we do see more of him in the teasers, and I may as well talk about them. We see one teaser that says, I am just like my father, with text above it saying, you can't save them, which is probably from William. We see that Mike is purple with Ennard pouring out of his mouth in this teaser, which means that eventually Mike will get scooped, and there's ghost kids next to him. I think this teaser is setting up Mike freeing the kids later on. Either that or the kids are here because Ennard is, and we're doing Molten MCI in this universe, I don't know. And if you're wondering how Michael's skin is purple, it's explained in a comment, or like someone explained it and then Dark House liked the comment, which basically confirms that it's probably true. I forget what they say though, so I'm not, fuck, this part's off script, I'm so sorry guys. And we get another teaser with the 2014 SFM model of Golden Freddy half and half with Michael that says, it's me. Who knows what this means? Maybe the crying child possessing Golden Freddy? I don't know. The wiki also says that Michael is the protagonist of the Helen Freddy's, so I'm guessing we'll learn a lot about him in the full game. I'm pretty sure the Helen Freddy's is one of the only fan games I know of that isn't a remake where Michael is the protagonist, so that's actually awesome. Kinda wish he was closer to games, Mike, but what can you do, I guess?
I mean, it could have been a lot worse. Yeah, it could have been.
Minigame 6 starts out with William in Spring Bonnie. He walks to find 5 children. We take them to the back room and we pull out a gun. What the hell in Freddy's? Why is this the second fan game video I've made where Spring Bonnie uses a gun? It seems that this minigame is showing us this universe's version of the missing children incident, and here William killed them using a gun.
Oh my god, that was like the most MLG kill that I could possibly earn.
Horrible idea, by the way, William. Really loud. Well, he is just killing for revenge. I wonder if there's a deeper reason he is using a gun. We know from earlier that he is capable of much more. Maybe when he killed Terrence, something was different, perhaps allowing his soul to live on, which is why he kills the missing children with a gun. Or maybe I'm looking too deep into it and still trying to make Mike being the older brother work. I don't know.
In a lot of ways, theory crafting is like writing fan fiction.
Anyway, I said earlier that there were 6 minigames, but after beating them, we actually get a 7th. Here we play as Shadow Bonnie. We walk around and see all of the other minigames we played up to this point. We just kind of keep moving until we find William, right after he got springlocked. Shadow Bonnie tells William to kill her, and we then get an end teaser with a blue man, with the text to be continued.
Is that like William Afton? No, William Afton is Springtrap, right? So is that like his brother, David Afton or something?
But we'll get to the best character in Hell of Freddy's. No, the best FNaF character ever made in a little bit. By the way, in this minigame, Shadow Bonnie is literally traveling back in time to tell William to kill Charlie. So hey, if you didn't like Into the Pit, sorry, but here in the Hell and Freddy's, we like to do a little bit of time travel. And that was the Hell and Freddy's Volume 1. As we can see, the lore is already off to a very great start. Let's see, William being a rotten corpse, because that is what he is supposed to be, MikeBot, time travel, and things actually only get crazier from here. But I'm gonna let you guys digest that for a little bit and talk about Dark House's other game, the best game ever made. 3 Nights at Perpy's, which may be canon to the Hell and Freddy's. I don't know, the wiki is very vague about it, but I think it probably is, and I don't care if it isn't, honestly. I want to, no, I need to talk about it. Just like you need to subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. I'm trying to 15k before the end of the year and all that. Yeah, okay, thank you. 3 Nights at Perpy's, also known as Nights at Perpy's, name's a bit inconsistent, I'll admit, is not a minigame collection like the Hell and Freddy's is. It's an actual game, if you want to call it that.
Coward.
So this game is very preliminary 2015 FNaF fan game core, and by that I mean it's a fan game made up of reused assets from FNaF 1, 2, and 3 and 4. I just found out we're supposed to call these kind of games photoshopped games, I think. When we start the game, we see a newspaper that sets up the basic premise. Arrival in town. Perpy's Pizza, the newly opened rival to Freddy's, looking for a security guard to work the night. If you are interested, help below. 006660. Okay, guys, this phone number really scares me. The office is the FNaF 2 office, though there is a door on our left instead of a vent, and the lighting is purple. There's 4 cameras, the show stage with Perpy, who is a recolor of FNaF 1 Freddy, though his head is from Chica, I'm pretty sure. There are 4 other cameras that we can look at. Most of them aren't interesting, to be honest, just recolors of cameras from FNaF 1 and 2, although there is one worth talking about. The prize counter, which has Nightmare Perpy. Nightmare Perpy is awesome. Now, why this pizza place has a nightmare animatronic, I'm not sure. We get a phone call from the owner of Perpy's Pizza, and is none other than Fritz Smith, the second security guard from FNaF 2. Now, it's actually pretty difficult to tell what Fritz says.
This is Fritz Smith. I'm the guy who owns this place. I've been waiting to meet my guard here. I'm going to tell you the things you can expect to be and or see at Perpy's Pizza.
From what I can tell, he just talks about the main gameplay mechanic, the shuffle lock. Okay, so basically the shuffle lock will make the animatronics go back to their stages, but only when they are in the office. Both of the animatronics are active tonight. Nightmare Perpy will go from the prize counter to the hallway outside your door to your office. Perpy will go in the party room, and from there you can either enter your office or the air vent to your right, and then your office. They can both be stopped using the shuffle lock. Pretty much the whole game is just waiting for the animatronics to enter your office and then sending them back. There's nothing else really. I mean, you do have to use more cameras than you have to in FNaF 2. Dark House 2, Scott Cawthon 0. It's alright because, to compensate, the animatronics can actually kill you right as they enter your office. You'll literally have no time to deal with them. The jump scares are just PNGs, really, really scary, and the game over screen is just us in a Perpy suit. But the nights are only 3 minutes, so it's not that bad, I guess. Luckily for us, minigames return after we beat a night. After completing night 1, we get a minigame where we play as William, walking from Freddy's to Perpy's, which... wow, it is literally just the same building as Freddy's but purple. They are actually just knocking off Freddy's. Fritz Smith is the bad guy? Night 2 is just the same as Night 1. The animatronics are a bit more active. Fritz tells us that Freddy's has sent Perpy's a cease and desist. I can't imagine why, and there is a new employee named Dave, which is of course William. So William is both the owner of Freddy's and working at Perpy's, a true hustler, and he really did hustle to kill 2 children in the Night 2 minigame. He even took the time to write the word hell on the wall in their blood. Now let's be honest, is William really in the wrong here? He did this to shut down Perpy's, and he is just trying to protect his business. It's a very interesting moral dilemma. Now, I don't know why he wrote the word hell on the wall, maybe to tie it to the Hell in Freddy's, I don't know. In the Night 3 minigame, Fritz tells us that 2 kids were found dead in Perpy's. Then he says something about how Perpy's was built off of not being like Freddy's, not having murders in the establishment, a very high bar to cross, but at the end of the call, something happened to Fritz. I'm very scared. Night 3 is hard. I got close, but I didn't beat it, so I got my Fixer Mini Bite games on it. He beat Night 3, and after it, you get a minigame of a yellow man on a phone, a Perpy suit next to him. William runs out and pushes the man into the suit, killing him. And in case you could not tell, this yellow man is Fritz Smith. Although because of this, the Villains fan and wiki has its doubts this is the same Fritz Smith as FNaF 2. Because how can he work at the FNaF 2 location if he dies here? It's a very good question. Honestly, we can't feel too bad for Fritz due to him trying to steal William's business.
It's obviously self-defense.
We unlock a Night 4, which is a boss night against Perpy Trap, who is Fritz Smith. Fucking Perpy Trap, oh my god.
They mention Galileo or Einstein or one of these other twits in the same breath as me. I feel a tide of vomit burn the back of my throat.
Who is Fritz Smith in the Perpy suit. You deal with him in the exact same way you deal as everyone else. Nightmare Perpy is just gone. Now, while there is only one threat, he is really fast and most of the time will kill you right as he gets in your office. So this night is impossible. Well, at least it was, until I got Mini Bite on it. That's right guys, Perpy's Night 4 is actually not impossible. Well, it is if you try and beat it normally I think, but Mini Bite managed to beat it by basically just pausing the game over and over. It took him 6 to 7 hours. But he got there in the end. But when he beat it, he got this static screen, and it stayed on the screen for a good minute or so. So Minibite had to close the game, and when he opened the game back up, his save data was just kind of gone. The game killed his save. He could not continue. He could only start a new game. So his reward for Night 4 wasn't a star on the main menu. It was the game... It was the game... Why am I laughing? It was the game starting... It was the game killing its own save data. Why am I...
No, I actually, I'm sorry. No, I actually think this is because Night 4 was probably made to be impossible, but I'll talk about that later. Although there actually was something Minibait was supposed to get, I think, which is another newspaper. Night Guard dead at Perpies. Earlier today, a Night Guard died at Perpies. The mystery goes stronger as no active animatronics, all decommissioned. No, because that means Lambert Perpy was decommissioned. No. And that was 3 nights at Perpies. Nights at Perpies, whatever you want to call it. The game is very interesting. The gameplay is really simple, but the animatronics are really aggressive. Night 4 is impossible unless you're my fixer. The story is fine, basic, but okay. There's an actual theme here about the corruption of children's entertainment, although I may have made that up. And there's actually some decent writing regarding William and Fritz with how they foil each other. Shout out to the villains fan and wiki, but basically William is purple but wears a yellow suit, mostly a rabbit, willingly, and is, evil. And Fritz is yellow but wears a purple suit, a bear against his will, and is good, well, as good as you can be, stealing Freddy Fazbear's pizza. Fucking monster. It's actually pretty neat writing, but overall Perpies is not the best game, but you know what, I love it anyway, 10 out of 10. Hopefully we get the console port soon. Before we move on to Volume 2 of the Hell and Freddy's, I should mention that there is a Perpies 2 in development. It will introduce new animatronics, like Greenie. Greenie is animatronic green. I'll touch more on this later.
Let's eat. Let's see what?
The Hell and Freddy's Volume 2 is currently just a demo and will likely stay that way for a while, but I'll talk about that later. There are currently 10 levels out right now, along with an extra 11th one that I'll get to. The first level takes us to 1987 at the FNaF 2 Freddy's. Press space to interact with things. I love this as it introduces a gameplay mechanic to the player. We play as this kid and we walk and find this kid who says, "I love Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Best place." This is actually true, as we'll see in a later event in this minigame. We walk down a little bit to find this dark blue guy. "I'm Boss Garrison, chump. I own this place." Okay, dude, calm down, no need to be rude. Garrison is actually a very important character because he proves Perpies is canon. That's right, I'm not actually done talking about yet, but let's be honest, can you ever really be? Basically, in a comment section, someone was asking Dark House lore questions, and Dark House was clarifying some lore. Dark House 3, Scott Cawthon 0. They were actually asking about how Shadow Freddy could be a copy of Perpy if Perpy supposedly takes place after FNaF 2, because Dark House had said that FNaF 2 was before 3 Nights at Perpies. Purple Freddy is a copy of Perply. In response, Dark House said, "William Afton, CEO, Boss Garrison Manager, TNAF take place of FNaF 2 before Purple Freddy's suit created, rip off of Perpy Fritz Smith alive." Now I'm not actually sure what this means. I think it means Perpies is before FNaF 2. It was said to be before the Bite of 87, so whatever, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that Dark House mentioned Boss Garrison in relation to Perpies, which he would have no reason to do if he didn't exist in the Perpyverse, meaning Hell and Freddy's is canon to Perpies. Case closed. Counter it. I dare you. Besides this, Garrison doesn't really matter. Our character continues to move down the hall, the music fading more as we walk. And then a man dressed in a Fredbear suit comes out and attacks us and bites down on our head and kills us. This is Simon, the blue guy who was teased at the end of the first game. You thought William worked alone? Nah, dude, you don't even know the half of it. The first half of the Hell and Freddy's Volume 2 focuses on Simon. He's the best character. You'll learn to love him, trust me.
Have you seen the memes? Have you seen the memes about me?
Minigame 2 has us play as Simon. We enter a room with 5 kids with an axe and we have to walk around and kill them. I actually have to censor this, it's really gory. But once we are done, we get blue text on screen that says, "He has killed before," which according to Dark House Games, Simon has killed before Purple Guy, so I don't know if this minigame is showing us Simon's murders before he met William or after, but it's worth noting. Also, apparently Simon is not literally blue, he is symbolically blue, unlike William who is literally purple. Minigame 3 takes place in some place called Stubby's Family Diner. We play as a green bear. We walk around and can find this animatronic with heads for hands and hands for ears. According to Dark House Games, they think this is Big Bon. We walk to find William and Simon conversing. Interestingly, William is not smiling. Blue Man and Purple Man, friends? I think they are, killing in all. There is also a phrase being spelled out in the background. The letters are ACCOMELISE. I think this is a misspelling of accomplice, but I'm not too sure. Anyway, this minigame establishes that William and Simon know each other. Also, I noticed that Stubby's Diner looks a lot like the location in the minigame 2, where Simon killed those kids, so it's probably the same location. In minigame 4, we play as Brow Boy from FNaF World. We walk down the hall to find Simon with a grayed out Brow Boy with blood leaking out from him. I guess the implication is that Simon killed a kid, and maybe it's the same one possessing Brow Boy, I'm not sure. Minigame 5 starts with us outside of Freddy's or a pizzeria location for the first time in the series, though it won't be the last. We play as this woman who is getting a phone call. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Your son was found eaten at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Whoever's on the other end of the phone is talking about the kid we saw in the first minigame, who was killed by Simon. Naturally, the mother starts crying. And then out of nowhere, Simon fucking runs out and eats her alive.
Let's eat. Let's eat what?
Hey look, like I said earlier, this is a much more mature version of FNAF's story, you know, we focus on the dark subject matters like JT music.
Yeah, I'm the body of 87, my brain and thoughts are my weapon, you ready to learn your lesson?
Yeah, I'm the bite of 87. What the fuck does that even mean? You're a bunch of brats who hate it. Guys, you guys are sleeping on this video. This video is fucking amazing. I don't really know why Simon did this. It almost makes me think that maybe both of these murders were targeted because how does he even know where the mom lives? I don't know though, just a theory. Now, in case you can't tell, Simon is actually a cannibal as well as a serial killer. What's next? Is he a Satanist too? Oh, he actually is. Now, something I just noticed is that the text color of the person who spoke to the mother was blue. Now, this could indicate it was the police or that it was Simon, which would just lead more credence to the idea that these murders were targeted. Minigames 6 to 8 take a break from Simon's storyline and focuses more on William's family. Minigame 6 takes place on August 14th, 1878. We play as this lavender guy getting off of a train. This is Alistair Afton, William Afton's grandfather. Yeah, we are really going back. Alistair is likely the only morally good Afton, because Michael Afton's morals are questionable. The train Alistair got off of was actually a train he owns, because he is the owner of Afton's Railroads conglomerate, which would later turn into Afton Robotics. We walk down and look towards the sky. We get a vision of William holding a knife, pointing it towards a child. This is apparently an omen in the sky showing the future fate of Alistair's family. Minigame 7 is called Midnight Fratricide, which in case you don't know, means the killing of one's brother or sister. We play as this guy holding a gun. We are in the same train station as Alistair. We walk down and find him. We point our gun towards him as he backs up, but then we put our gun down. Minigame 8 takes us back to 2686 BC in Egypt. We play as this guy. We walk for a little bit, but are eventually grabbed by this black arm and pulled back. We then get a scene that actually kind of creeped me out. Shadow Bonnie stands staring at us. He tells us, something great is about to happen, but you exist within the wrong time. You will be given a new life, a new purpose, taking place in the greatest masterpiece. Bring forth a new world. The minigame ends with our character at the train station in a purple tie and a gray suit. So the implication here is that Shadow Bonnie went back in time and took this guy and put him in the 1800s. He is named Severin Afton. He is the brother of Alistair and the uncle to William. He was taken by this entity. His new purpose was basically to make William rich, apparently. I don't know, that's what I'm picking up from the wiki. I'm not sure how the time travel works. I don't know if everyone in the universe has false memories, as if he was a real person or what. He threatened Alistair, but we don't really know why. Probably something to do with William. According to the wiki, before he died, he made sure that Alistair gave William millions of dollars before his death. He was also apparently involved in multiple criminal syndicates in the United Kingdom. This also implies that for some reason this entity wants William to kill people, viewing it as something great. He even was the one who told William to kill Charlie, his first victim. Why he wants this, I don't know. Hopefully it will be revealed later on. Minigame 9 is called Chica's Cooking World. We play as Toy Chica in some green place. We walk over to find a white and pink guy at a table making some most likely illegal substance.
Drugs is the answer.
Now, what could this be referencing?
Grade school T-ball versus the New York Yankees.
I don't know how this plays into the greater story. Maybe William is working with criminal syndicates as well. Or Simon, I guess it could be Simon. Blah.
Let's see what?
Minigame 10 is the final minigame of Volume 2. We play as Simon, although he is much older and frowning. Very unusual compared to how we've seen him thus far. He appears to be in an abandoned pizzeria. We walk down the hall to find Springtrap. Simon falls to his knees and begins to cry. Oh man, okay, now I feel bad for him. Can he really, is he redeemable? Text on screen appears saying, I will avenge you. And that is how the Helen Freddy's Volume 2's demo ends. I should mention on the title screen there is an option to view the FNAF 4 box, but there's nothing to do with it as of now. There is one final minigame, Deal 1939. It is a separate download from the demo. It starts with Simon in a helicopter, so that means that he has been around since at least 1939. He's probably at least 18 here, which means he is at least 66 in 1987. The camera pans down to these red people. We play as one and walk down to find a UFO, and an alien drops out and the minigame ends. Huh, I wonder what that was about. What the fuck?
Helen Freddy's Volume 2 is a step up from Volume 1 so far. I think Volume 1 does have a better narrative through line, but we haven't seen all of Volume 2 yet, so it's probably unfair to compare them like that, and it's the Helen Freddy's. But speaking of the narrative, how about that lore? So Volume 1 didn't already, Volume 2 is where things jump the shark. The thing is, though, jumping over sharks is kind of awesome. I won't lie, I actually find the lore to be interesting. I mean, also fucking insane, but it definitely sets up an interesting story before the actual game comes out. I mean, we have like, what, 2 serial killers, Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, multiple locations, and a time-traveling entity that wants William Afton to kill people. The game jolt page says that there's actually a third killer that is called the Clown who kills kids at the circus and museum, based on the Joker from the 2019 movie. Mike, dude, I don't know how you're gonna handle all of this. Also, in the 1987 character, there is a random chance for this character named the Paired One to appear. This character seems to have become a meme within the Helen Freddy's fandom, with even the Radiance team, one of the biggest fan game developers, referencing him. I don't get it, to be honest. Three Nights at Purpley's 2 is not out yet, but I want to talk about it, okay? According to the game's description, it's Purpy's grand reopening. Now it's owned by Fazbear Entertainment. The first teaser shows us that Nightmare Purpy has returned, thank goodness. The second teaser shows us a recolor of Withered Freddy with a slimmer head with Withered Chica's eyes, which honestly, he looks kinda creepy. The text of the teaser says, "The pain returns." The next teaser says, "Something purple, something new." What does that even mean? We see this guy who I'm guessing is a toy version of Purpy. There's another teaser with Greenie, an animatronic who is green. It says new faces, which means we will finally get some new additions to the Purpy's cast. I posted Greenie's wiki page on Twitter where it just said Greenie is animatronic green because I thought it was funny. It did pretty well. And then somebody like vandalized the wiki page and now it's like all this stuff. I don't know, I just thought I should mention it. Guys, can we get the old page back? We also have another teaser that says, "You are not E. I don't know what this means." We also have a couple gameplay screenshots. We have the office, which is made up the FNaF 1 office, and the control module from Sister Location. We see that there is a glass durability mechanic and a gas mechanic. There are also 2 camera selector things. One gameplay screenshot shows us what the yellow one does, which shows a version of the puppet in a prize counter environment. Another screenshot shows us some of the cameras. We have a version of Toy Chica that is purple, and her mouth is really wide. We also see Greenie as well. From this screenshot, there appears to be a power mechanic, and the layout of the building has 11 cameras. The actual camera itself is taken from Five Nights at Candy's 1, and the final screenshot shows us another camera with a blue mango character here as well. As we can see, this game is going to be a lot bigger than the first, and honestly, it looks like it might be deadass good, and not very scary though. This game did start development around a year ago, but might not come out for a while longer because of the most tragic incident to hit the Dark House verse. Around a month ago at the time of writing this, Dark House posted that their computer had broken. They attached an image of Hello Neighbor along with this announcement. In the comments, Dark House said that the progress was gone.
What ending is that?
This is genuinely tragic because it can't just be Purpy's 2 that is affected by this, which is obviously still bad, but it must be like everything, including the Helen Freddy's like actual game, which has been in development for about 2 years now. The last thing Dark House got out was fucking Deal 1939. Now, luckily, Dark House hasn't said anything was canceled, which is good, but it still sucks that literally 2 years of work is just gone. I hope Dark House manages to get things back on track. I really want to see where this universe goes, although there is a little thing to hold us over while we wait. The Dark House wiki is like if the Library of Alexandria was still with us, only it had Simon in it. While the wiki covers everything we've talked about before, it also talks about some niche stuff I haven't covered. For example, a few unreleased minigames that I didn't talk about that the wiki has pages on, even if they aren't very in-depth. They were technically talked about on Dark House's Game Jolt page, but I don't care, I'm talking about them now. Like the Illuminati Cave minigame, where our protagonist would be in the pink suit in a cave with that green triangle that people used to represent the Illuminati. I don't know if this is for the Helen Freddy's or something else, I'm not sure. In the corruption minigame, you would play as a journalist. You would walk into a room to find a green guy in a foxy suit with blood all around and the word help written on the wall in blood. Apparently the green guy is a man of business and pays off the journalist. So I guess this is showing us that Fazbear Entertainment's influence has a wide reach. There is a minigame set in 1976 where you play as William in the Spring Bonnie suit meeting up with a character called the Communist in Russia. William is apparently wearing the Spring Bonnie suit to hide his identity. Oh, who's Spring Bonnie? Yeah, I can't figure it out. Ooh, I wonder who it is.
Obviously you're with Michael Afton, also known as Spring
Springtrap.
Paper Theater is the most interesting minigame out of this lot. From what I can tell, this only exists on the wiki. In the Paper Theater minigame, you would play through multiple minigames in the Hell and Freddy's, starting with the 1878 minigame, and then the Simon one, and so on and so forth. There is the background music that would play during the minigame on the page that you're probably hearing right now. It goes hard, kinda, I won't lie. This minigame is clearly inspired by the cardboard theater minigame from the fan game Dormitibus, and I hope it's the only thing that is used as inspiration from that game. I like how the wiki says, there are only a few screenshots that exist. Dark House, I know you guys are the ones making this page, you don't have to hide it. Actually, that's something this wiki does a lot. Like on the pink suit page, it says, it was previously thought to be a different sprite of William Afton or a different person altogether, but was confirmed to be his suit the whole time in the A Pink Suit minigame.
Yeah, I think that definitely sounds plausible. If you remember, guys, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Balloon Boy.
Why is it talking like the Hell and Freddy's is canon to FNaF lore? Also, apparently in the Revenge minigame, William did not use the Fredbear suit. It was retconned to be Spring Bonnie. Where was it retconned? Well, in the book, of course.
Honestly, sometimes fiction is so much cleaner than reality.
What book? This book is so funny to me. It's only mentioned like twice on the wiki. It doesn't even have its own page. I haven't been able to find anything else on it. Where did they find it? Where did it come from? But the most interesting thing about this wiki page is it does give us a bit of info about the actual Hell and Freddy's game. And that is by talking about the character Orion. Orion is a character that will be in the Hell in Freddy's, and he is a recolor of the Lockjaw character from New York bestseller The Return to Freddy series, or I'm sorry, Pink Horrors Midway. By the way, I clicked on this link and it didn't even bring me to that game. It brought me to another game that I've actually been looking for years called A Child's Past. Guys, I really want to talk about this game. Please give me a video idea I can use as an excuse to talk about it. Orion's page is probably the most fleshed out one on the wiki. According to it, he was created by Simon as a killing machine made to kidnap and torture children for scientific experiments. Yeah, Simon strikes me as the scientific type, but he has a second purpose of being an assassin animatronic that assassinates anyone that gets on Simon's case.
If I am who you say I am, do you really think this was your best course of action?
It's 5 against 1.
Yes. See your mistake.
He was then sealed for years in the nuclear bunker under Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and Dinery, which is the FNaF 2 location it seems, since when you click on the link for it on the wiki, it brings you to the Steam page for FNaF 2. Nuclear bunker honestly shouldn't be surprising at this point. Don't worry, he made his grand return after the CIA discovered him before the events of the Hell and Freddy's Revengeance, and apparently is the main antagonist of the secret Night 666. I'm assuming that night takes place at Perpy's. According to the wiki, there is the remains of a child's corpse in the animatronic, and Orion's eyes are the child's,
hello darkness, my old friend,
which are seen in the alleged startup images, which I guess are like those rare screens you get in FNaF 1, 2, and 3, which show like Springtrap and all of those guys. We actually do learn a little bit about Orion's gameplay mechanics, surprisingly enough. Apparently on night 666, the only night where the character is active, he will be in the nuclear bunker and progress towards the office before jump-scaring the player, crashing the game. And there's no actual way to prevent him from killing you. So Orion is basically like a creepypasta character, I guess. Does that make sense to anybody else? Apparently Orion is based on a real demon haunting one of the developers, again creepypasta, and it is theorized that in future entries he will be used for an unknown purpose by the CIA as signified by one of the rare screens. How people are able to theorize based off of a screen that we cannot see, I don't know.
In a lot of ways, theory crafting is like writing fanfic.
Orion also appears in a couple minigames. The Give Salad minigame, where he gives salad to children while Simon is there watching, because all of us want to eat salad at a pizza place. There's also another minigame where Orion is seen in front of the dimensional rift where Simon comes out of, which is universe 613. This minigame is called In the End. Orion's page is a whole thing, man. Probably the perfect encapsulation of not only this wiki, but really the series. Like, you really never know what's going to happen next. But I think I've said everything there is to say about the wiki. And I think we've covered everything there really is to say about the Hell and Freddy's series. Well, there is Dark House's other game called Five Nights at Counter-Strike, but I don't think that's related to all of this. If you want to learn more about it, you'll have to check out Oscar's video after this one, sorry. While I've been making this video, Dark House actually did post a couple new things to Game Jolt, so let's take a little look at them. The first one is this image, Man of Purple, Purple Car. It seems to be, I think this is from Dormitibus. I think Cake Bear's purple. He made him with a mouth to kind of look like, I guess, oh, is this supposed to be like EE82? I don't know. The other one is Reunite. Hello, Fritz and Son. What do you mean, son? It's me. So this is, I think this is inspired by the Boys comic.
according to the comments section.
And this is what she would want.
And then now we have a fucking Zedorox exclusive. I'm not even joking. I actually asked Dark House a question. Dark House, what would you say is the overall theme of the Hell and Freddy series? Like, what is the story really about thematically? And Dark House actually replied, and Dark House said truth. So hey, keep that in mind for the full game. The theme of the series is truth. Alright, so I know that was a lot. I think we can all agree that Hell and Freddy's is definitely telling an interesting story. Some of it is compelling, I won't lie. Simon is really funny, and why Shadow Bonnie wants all this to happen is something worth pondering. But other than that, I don't really know. Most of it is just really funny, I think. Actually, you know what? I think there was so much that we have to go over it real quick. So we're gonna do a quick little timeline. It's just my opinion though. I'm not saying this is fact. I'm not counting the unreleased minigames since we don't know if they're canon, technically. We are acknowledging Orion though. His page is way too in-depth to not matter.
It's a Fazbear special.
Alright, so our story starts in 2686 BC, where a man is kidnapped by an entity and given a new purpose. That being to ensure that William Afton, who was not born yet, was given the proper resources necessary to start his killing spree. So he's transferred to the 1800s and he is renamed Severin Afton. Severin's brother Alistair started Afton's Railroads and Conglomerate, which basically made railroads and trains. Alistair quite liked his creations. On the night of August 14th, 1878, Alistair was getting off of his trains and walked around, but he got a vision in the sky of his unborn grandson seemingly killing a child. We can assume this made him consider not passing down his business or something, since Serevins threatened him about something we don't really know. Sometime in the future, William was born and he was Severin's favorite. Before Alistair's death, he gave William millions of dollars and Afton's Railroads and Conglomerates, which William would later turn into Afton Robotics. In 1939, a man named Simon participated in World War II. Sometime in the late 1900s, William Afton started his own family, with 3 children, 2 boys named Terrence and Chris, and a girl named Elizabeth. Probably, I mean, they might retcon that one. Not retcon, you guys know what I mean. Prior to 1976, Simon had created the animatronic Orion to kidnap and kill children. It was also an assassin that would kill anyone who investigates Simon, which is of course silly since it makes Simon seem more guilty, but hey, we don't like Simon because he's smart. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and Dinery was opened, but it was closed in 1976 for unknown reasons. Simon would put Orion in the nuclear bunker under the pizzeria. One day in the 70s or 80s, William was testing out spring-lock suits, but was unfortunately spring-locked.
Do you like my new metal eyes and new teeth? Very sharp. I want to kill more children.
But he survived, with his skin turning purple somehow. Not too sure how that works. After this, William was visited by the entity that took his uncle. It tells him to kill her. The her being referred to here is Charlotte Emily, who is probably still the daughter of William's business partner, but with how different everything else is, I don't know. I interpret this scene as William already wanting to kill Charlie, but he hadn't because he either was trying to control his impulses or something else. But after the spring locking, he probably wanted to take his rage out on someone, or he felt like his humanity was left behind or something. Whatever it is, Shadow Bonnie is just there to, give him a little push, So William puts on the pink suit and does that, and then sometime in 1983, Terrence Afton and his 3 friends accidentally kill Chris. William would then wear his Spring Bonnie suit and kill the 4 children. William then built Michael Afton as a replacement for his children, and also Elizabeth, who likely died sometime prior to this. After this, William sent Michael to Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals, and Michael hid in the pink suit. William would then kill 5 children at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which probably shut the place down, although it's likely before all of this, William met Simon, who opened a place called Stubby's Diner, where he himself killed 5 children for unknown reasons. There was also a location for the character Brow Boy, and Simon killed a kid there too. William and Simon also knew someone who goes by the Clown, who killed children at a circus and a museum. The duo also likely engaged in criminal activity with these guys that are just Walter White and Jesse, let's be honest. In 1987, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and Dinery was reopened, but just across town, a man named Fritz Smith opened his own restaurant named Perpy's Diner, with 2 animatronics, Perpy and Nightmare Perpy. He hired an unnamed security guard to work the night shift. Fritz saw the murders that were happening at Freddy's and came up with a solution, that being a shuffle lock feature that would bring the animatronics to their stage. Actually, wait, why can Perpy and Nightmare Perpy even walk around? I just noticed this right now. It's not like they're possessed because those kids die later. Fritz, dude, can you not have just made them not walk around? Anyway, William saw this location as competition, which it was, and so he worked at the location in order to sabotage it. He went under the alias of Dave, and on his second day, killed 2 children at the location, which will begin the process of shutting it down. On his third shift, he killed Fritz Smith by shoving him in a Perpy suit, creating Perpy Trap. Bye-bye, Fritz. The night guard had to survive against Perpy Trap, but unfortunately, never made it out. After this, Fazbear Entertainment would get the rights to the Perpy's franchise, and would work on opening a second location. During the Perpy arc, Simon killed a boy at Freddy's.
and then he tracked down the boy's mother and killed her too. And we don't know much about what happens after this. We can assume either before or after all of this, Michael did sister location, slop, and got scooped by Ennard, and learned about his father's crimes. And he met the ghosts that possess the animatronics, with his new mission being to find his father. He's also somehow connected to the Golden Freddy character. The CIA found Orion. Michael would soon work at wherever the Hell in Freddy's takes place, and does whatever he does there. We really have no idea. He might be the protagonist of Purpose 2, but we don't know yet. Darkhouse, if you're watching this, make Mike the protagonist of Purpose 2.
I mean, after all, I am your biggest fan.
At an unknown point in time after 1987, William got spring-locked, likely after dismantling the animatronics at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He was found by Simon, who cries upon seeing his old friend in his current state. Simon makes it his mission to avenge William, and that is currently where the storyline ends.
Honestly, sometimes fiction is so much cleaner than reality.
This story is insane, and well, what do I think about it? Simon is probably the best FNaF character ever. I do have a theory about this series, and it is just a theory, I'm not sure if it's true, but I think a lot of you are probably thinking it. I think there is a likely chance that the Hell in Freddy's is not serious.
Is it even legal to say that?
I think it could be a parody of like 2015 to 2016 FNaF fan games, like the Return to Freddy's or Fazbear's Return, games like that, or also the FNaF fan base as a whole. I think this idea started forming in my head, well, technically when I read it on the Villains Wiki page or whatever, or something, it just said it's like a parody of old FNaF games, but by that time I was still only looking at Volume 1, so I really didn't think it was a parody, because Volume 1, yeah, it has stuff like Micebot and William turning purple, but those were both popular ideas at the fan base at one point, so I could totally see someone liking those ideas and putting them in their fan game series, right? William brutally killing the bullies and killing the MCI with a gun were kind of suspicious though, but not enough for me to think, this is a parody. You know, there have been crazier fan-made Williams. That wasn't until I met Perpy. Now, I did think that at first Perpy's may be serious, but then I met Nightmare Perpy. Also, I already knew that Night 4 was impossible going in, but I thought it was probably not intended to be, until I had a Mini-Byte beat it and learned it reset your save data. This could just be a glitch, but it could be because you were never actually supposed to be able to beat Night 4. But why would they make a night that's impossible? Well, a lot of fan games from 2015, which Perpy seems to be replicating, had the final few nights be really hard or impossible. I think this is a tribute to that. It's probably the same thing with the enemies killing you instantly sometimes. The plot of Perpy's is also a very basic fan game plot from around that time period. A location opens up in its arrival to Freddy's, and William works there and shuts it down. William working there to shut the place down may be a reference to that old theory from when FNaF 2 came out that Purple Guy was trying to shut Freddy's down. After I played Perpy's, everything just kind of clicked. I think it being a parody can explain a lot about the series. Like, for example, its extreme edginess, because let's be honest, this series, it is very, very edgy. I think this is shown none better than in the character of Simon.
Let's see what?
Simon, we love him, but this guy is really over the top, let's be honest. Serial killer, Satanist, and a cannibal. Plus, he fought in World War II. I think that Simon's character is supposed to be a parody of like really, really edgy interpretations of William's character. And by that, I mean stuff like, you know, he ate them. Either that, or he's just parodying edgy OCs in general, you know? Also, Simon is like really old. And I know the main antagonist of the Fazbear Return series was like, what, over 100 in some version of that story? And then the stuff like Deal 1939 is obviously very edgy, and that could just be playing into the overall edginess, kind of like making fun of or parodying the kind of edginess that was around on the internet in that time period. Also, the timeline starts in 2628 BC. I don't know if that's parodying anything in particular, but I think that's just playing into the absurdity. There's also stuff like the Illuminati in here, and then the most obvious, in my opinion, is the paper theater minigame, which is just directly a reference to Dormitibus. The wiki also mentions there being a book that retcons lore, which is just like the Return to Freddy's, which had a novel that I think retcons lore. I don't know much about the Return to Freddy's. Also, the character of Orion is a recolor of Lockjaw, one of the most iconic characters in the Return to Freddy's, and he's literally in a nuclear bunker and it shows up at night 666. Night 666! I mean, come on. A demon that haunts one of the developers. Apparently he has child's eyes as his actual eyes. Orion is just as edgy as his father, dude. I think William being literally purple while Simon is symbolically blue could be a reference to how in actual FNaF canon, William is not literally purple while Michael is, but we couldn't tell, which led to Mic Trap.
Thank you, Scott.
But I talked about that in the last video, so go check it out. The whole thing about Perpy's on console, I think, is a reference to the time the developer of Jollies posted a teaser image of the mascot of that series with a PS4 controller, so it's probably just a parody of that, although I do wish we could actually get Perpy's on console. I think that'd be sick. So basically, the Hell in Freddy's could be a parody or maybe a tribute to old fan games or fan-made works in general, and I don't know, that's really, it's the theory. I'm not 100% sure about it though, it could be serious, absolutely. So, the Hell in Freddy's. Overall, so far it's the best thing ever to me, I think. I mean, the lore is definitely a little crazy, but I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know, the story isn't over, so we can't really say if it's good or bad. The games overall, there isn't really much to talk about, they're all really simple to play. Like I said earlier, I really love this series because, I mean, how couldn't you? There's definitely a lot to like Simon, of course. And yeah, make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.